Years have ticked by, Todd's no longer spry. An old man on his throne can't help but pick a bone with this man that doesn't share, though he surely is aware that the world loves his games. Guess I'll have to fan the flames. Todd, listen now, Todd, listen now, listen now, listen now, Todd. You're an adult, yes you are. You're like 60, so wearing nice watches, driving nice cars. Why do you got the IP behind bars? You could have released Fallout 5, Elder Scrolls 6, and Starfield 2. You gross. Let someone else help, but there's still nothing new. Journalists banned and blacklisted, toe the line or you're gonna get fisted. Todd, it's time to just let go. Someone else will make the games flow like milk and honey, make us lots of money. Don't be a jerk, we'll make it just work. Todd, it's time to just let go. Someone else will make the games flow like milk and honey, make us lots of money. Don't be a jerk, we'll make it just work. Oh, Todd, you're an adult. Stop hogging. You're like 60. The time has come to share these IP. After all, you are like 60. Phil was your buddy, there is no doubt, but it's also clear he brought about years of dysfunction, Satch's destruction, layoffs, calamity, utter decimation. Ashes taking the keys. I'll tell you what to do. You just sit there and pull Starfield out the loo. Todd, listen now, Todd, listen now, listen now, listen now, Todd. You're an adult, yes you are. You're like 60, so old. Wearing nice watches, driving nice cars. Why do you got the IP behind bars? You could have released Fallout 5, Elder Scrolls 6, and Starfield 2. Let someone else help, but there's still nothing new. Journalists banned and blacklisted, toe the line or you're gonna get fisted. Todd, it's time to just let go. Someone else will make the games flow like milk and honey, make us lots of money. Don't be a jerk, we'll make it just work. Todd, it's time to just let go. Someone else will make the games flow like milk and honey, make us lots of money. Don't be a jerk, we'll make it just work. Oh, Todd, you're an adult. Stop hogging. You're like 60. The time has come to share these IP. After all, you are like 60. Phil was your buddy, there is no doubt, but it's also clear he brought about years of dysfunction, Satch's destruction, layoffs, calamity, utter decimation. Ashes taking the keys. I'll tell you what to do. You just sit there and pull Starfield out the loo.
Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. Why was Luke late? Because I was trying to figure out what to have Todd do at the end of the lyrics. I was like, Asha taking the keys, tell you what to do. What should Todd be left to do? What's Todd supposed to be doing? Pulling Starfield out the loo. You know, really groundbreaking gaming commentary. That's what I shoot for. You know, really get the gears turning, get you thinking, you know, get you reflecting. It's just part of what I try to bring to the table. How are you guys doing? Everybody feeling good? Yeah, Bethesda news? Yes, dude, this whole thing is kind of hilarious to me. We're going to talk about it because, of course, there's like a lot. If you don't know like what we're referring to, there's like a lot. There's a lot. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I really think what happened is that Asha was like, so, Todd, you're sitting there. Oh, I turned the chat on. You're sitting there for like 20 years doing nothing. And you also don't want to talk to people. You also, like, the biggest, maybe not, I don't know, biggest is a weird term. The like most well-regarded, respected, whatever the term is, journalist in the games industry is Jason Schreier, and you've blacklisted him for 15 years. Why? Well, Asha, it's because he reported on a leak that happened for a Fallout 4 audition script. So you've blacklisted like the most well-known and like respected games journalist in the industry because he reported on a leaked audition script. Help me understand. Like, it reminds me of one of my old bosses in real estate. He would always just go, like, he would cold call people, and one of the things about brokerage is that you have to talk to people who are really stupid but pretend like they're brilliant because you need them to list their building with you or whatever. So you're constantly like, you are so smart, help. I love that thought process. Even as they're describing something remarkably stupid, you have to like smile and nod because you're trying to get, a deal done. And so I could always tell when he was talking to somebody he thought was really stupid because he'd be on the phone in his office and he would always talk on the speaker like this. And he would lean back in his chair and just go, help me understand. It was always like, so Todd, you're going to take 20 years between Fallout games. Help me understand. Help me understand why that makes sense. Because I feel like I'm just missing something. Help me understand. I feel like that's probably what happened is that Asha brought Todd in and was like, you have two of the biggest IP in our portfolio, successful TV show, all this stuff. And the next game is coming out in 9 years, which will be 20 years after the last one. Help me understand. help me understand. I feel like I'm missing something. Help me understand. Like, I think that's really what happened. And so we're seeing this breakdown, and basically, long story short, this is just one massive like explanation of what's going on. Bethesda historically does not discuss stuff. Like, they go radio silent. I would argue to their own detriment, but they go radio silent and suffer the consequences of it. But it seems like Asha is like, we're not doing that. Help me understand. I don't think they're dealing with it. I don't think that's what's happening. Melissa, very generous, just gifted 5 memberships to the community. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Glad to have you guys. Glad to have you. You guys are welcome to the clan. Welcome to the army of what is misfits. That's it. I was trying to think of like, I almost said just losers, but that's not right. I was like army of misfit toys, like that whole thing from Rudolph. I'm not up on my Rudolph lore apparently. I'm apparently not. Yeah. That's what I get for trying to think on my feet. How are you guys, though? Everybody ready to go through this? We've got this. We also have, I guess it's not really like breaking. I mean, there's just not a lot to say about it, but if you missed it, this may be surprising. So we all remember that Ryan Hurst was cast as Kratos in the God of War TV show, which I thought was like a pretty good casting. It seems like it's going to be interesting. He's being replaced, though, because he has suffered an injury. So they just revealed this last night. God of War to recast lead Kratos after Ryan Hurst suffers injury on the set of the Prime Video series. Looking into this, it sounds like he put on 40 pounds of muscle, worked hard for months on the Vancouver set filming the physically demanding role until he got hurt performing his duties. He tore his bicep while doing a stunt for the show and has since undergone surgery and is recovering. It seems like he has finished 4 episodes of the show and had done a bunch of little stuff for the rest of the season, but he had like finished 4 episodes, and then this happened and they are recasting it. Now, I had a teacher in high school. He did like some of the gym classes and stuff, or like athletics courses and extracurriculars. And he tore his bicep, I think it was junior year of high school. And he had to put it in a brace like that locked it still. He was in that like all year after getting surgery on it. And like he was a pretty heavy lifter too. And so he couldn't lift. And you don't really want to do curls just one arm, you know, unless you want to look like Quagmire in that one episode. So you're just kind of stopping your exercise routine while you can't really do much. And you even think like cardio or other bulking, like I'm sure he was doing deadlifts and presses and lots of benching, and yeah, he's doing all sorts of stuff to maintain the Kratos physique. And now you can't use your arm for 6 months to a year. Like some people, they can kick it within 3 to 6 months, is apparently like the rough recovery timeline. But I know my teacher, like he was out of commission for the whole year and the following summer. And when we came back the next fall, because I think he tore it probably in like September of junior year. Senior year comes around, we're in the fall semester. He still couldn't do much. Like he didn't have the brace on anymore, but he was not, you know, doing crazy weight or anything. He had to take it pretty easy and slow. So I think there's that. The other kind of elephant in the room with this whole casting, and this is a fact of the matter that you have to be aware of when you're casting a show like this. And this was something that was brought up when people asked, why don't they cast Christopher Judge in the role of Kratos? This show is probably realistically going to be like 10 years before you reach the end of it. Christopher Judge right now is 61. He's a good looking 61, I'll tell you what. Like he's very fit and athletic for 61, but he's 61 years old. By the time the God of War show would end, he'd be in his 70s probably, or very close to it. It's hard for a young actor to get shredded for Kratos. It is not easy for someone in their 60s to get there, you know? Like that's really, really tough. And for Ryan Hurst, he he just turned 50. So it's still pretty tough for him to maintain that physique, I think, but especially if you add on to it a torn bicep, he probably is not able to get back up to his same physique that he was like, 2 weeks ago for another few years, if he's ever able to get back to that level. Because again, bicep tears are devastating. Like you cannot do anything while it heals. You're waiting for the muscle to heal after being torn. Like it is not easy to come back from that, especially when the mandate and the requirement is you need to look like the freaking God of War. Like you need to walk around at 240 at 6'3" or whatever and be shredded. Like it's just not that easy. And so I think for them, they're looking at it, and he's probably looking at it like, okay, realistically, I can't get back to that physique for another year or two. Do we just pause the show for 2 years? Probably not. And like, at some point it just doesn't make sense, you know? So I feel bad, obviously, for him, because this is beyond his control. Imagine you worked your butt off, you put on 40 pounds of muscle, and you film 4 full episodes of the show, and you're working on the next few, and then this happens, and then they come into your dressing room, and they're like, yeah, so we're gonna take this in a different direction. Sorry. Like it just sucks, but that's, I think, the only real option that they have. What are you gonna do? I mean, it sucks, but that's just how the biz goes sometimes. That's how the biz goes. So now they are back looking to recast and reshoot everything. So I don't know. I thought he was a pretty solid casting for Kratos. I thought it was going to be really interesting to see what he brought to the table. But now we just won't know. So who are your predictions? They'll cast Todd. Maybe. He's, I think, got some free time. Do we have anybody who has predictions for who they're going to cast instead? I don't know, man. I don't know. I hadn't really considered Ryan Hurst. There were some guys like Olafur Olafsson being cast as Thor. This was one I heard people predict beforehand, like, oh yeah, he'd be great as Thor. So this one made sense. I haven't heard a lot of predictions around Kratos that have made sense. Bella Ramsey. Guess I'm gonna be dad of boy. Honestly, I know the Bella Ramsey stuff gets memed on and gets, derided and mocked or whatever. I'm going to be honest. If Bella Ramsey were cast as Kratos, I'd watch the shit out of that. I would watch that so hard. I would be so there for that. I think we all would. If the goal of media is to be entertaining, that would be entertaining. That'd be really entertaining. Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa. He obviously has the beard. He's got the eyes. I think he could do it. The fashion sense. This is very Kratos coded. I think he could do it. The honest question is, and this is stupid, but do you think he would shave his head? Like, he's known for his long hair. Do you think he'd actually shave his head? I don't know. I'm sure if the paycheck is big enough, he would, but I don't know. It's also funny. I've told you guys this story before, but Jason Momoa, he's from my hometown. Like, he went to CSU, the same college that I went to. I don't know if he went there, but he worked on, like, just next to campus. He worked at a restaurant called Bisetti's Italian. It doesn't exist anymore. The owners shut it down. But this was the restaurant in Old Town Fort Collins that he worked at. He was a waiter at Bisetti's. And somebody I know worked with him as a waitress at the same time he was working as a waiter. And she said he was a nightmare to work with because he would only ever talk about how he wanted to go to California to become a professional surfer. He didn't want to be an actor. He wanted to be a professional surfer. And so the whole time he was just kind of dicking around. He used his good looks to get good tips, but it meant that most of the tables he would wait on, he would just wait on like the female tables and flirt with them to get better tips and stuff, which is kind of funny. I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny. Hey, if you've got it, flaunt it, as they say. But she was like, yeah, no, he was like known for not being a particularly hard worker. Which is just kind of funny. But yeah, Bisetti's doesn't exist anymore. It's very sad. It's gone. The owners, I think they just retired at some point. Yeah. Eatery closing after 39 years. Yep. But yeah, Jason Momoa worked in this restaurant. Sure did. Drove his coworkers crazy, apparently, before he moved to Cali. But yeah, that could be good. That could be good. You never know. Based, honestly, I mean, if you've got it, why not? A buddy of mine, good buddy of mine, he worked at a restaurant, and there were like cycles of, for lack of a better term, old cougars that would come in regularly to his restaurant, and he was a waiter there, and they were like aggressive. Like, think construction worker catcalling, like the blonde walking down the street. That's what they were, but to young male waiters. And so he would go and like, he told me stories of how he'd be waiting at tables, and then when it came time for tipping, they would take out the money and they'd like wave it. You know what you have to do to get your tip. And he would like, one of the ladies would like knock off a fork off the table and then make him lean over for it. And then they'd tuck it into his butt pocket as they all cheer. Yeah, Angela, you're so bad. That's just how he did it. But he made good money. Tips for tips. That's use what you got, I think, is the point. Chris Pratt. It's a me, Chris. Never say never. I've seen more surprising castings. I don't know. I think that there's options. I think it would be cool for them to just go totally unknown, like just go blow somebody away or give somebody a chance to blow everybody away that you haven't heard of. But time will tell. We'll see. Bartley Weaver. I don't know who that is. Okay. Internet personality, IFBB Pro. Okay, so bodybuilder. Honestly, like, quick look, yeah, he's got the look for it. He's already a bodybuilder, so that could work. Somebody like this, I think you probably do need to go bodybuilder, because I mean, I'm sure we all saw live action Moana. We all saw the bodysuit that they put The Rock in, and it just made him look like he was lactating the whole time. Like, he just looks swollen and bloated. It's really, really weird. I don't really understand why he looks like this, but really unsettling. I think they also like removed his nipples from the suit because like that would not be allowed for some reason under Disney's rules. I don't know, man. But I hope they don't do a muscle suit for Kratos. Don't do this because this looks bad. This looks stupid. Get a bodybuilder who's just yoked and do that. That works better. That works much more better. Okay. Okay. Jesus, DLSS 5 off versus on. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yep, that's about right. That's about right. You all have DLSS, don't you? Just use this. That's cursed, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. We have like I've been taking the kids to go see movies pretty regularly when there's a good kids movie out, like Toy Story or the Minions or whatever. Nikki asked me, "Do you want to take them to go see the new Moana?" I was like, "No." I don't. I really don't. I'm good. I'm fine. You know, Moist Critical is Kratos. I can't do a good Moist Critical voice. Boy. Hey boy, over here. I can't do it. I always end up sounding kind of like I'm from Wisconsin, like a dairy farmer. I don't know why. John Goodman, dude, I love John Goodman. Even if he showed up as old Kratos, I would be down for that. That'd be baller. That'd be baller. Okay. I think it's time to get to the point. Let me read these super chats real quick and then we're going to get into it. Because there's stuff to be said about the Bethesda stuff. Wilhelm Karstein, thank you for the 2 months. What is the odds of getting a new Fallout game that is... I can't read. What is the odd that the new Fallout game is the one that Obsidian got rejected years ago? I think that pieces of it will be from those original ideas, but it's just a matter of like what else they're adding in. It won't be the exact same concept, but they'll probably take some of the core ideas and then grow from there and expand on it. Seth Rogen, boy. That'd be good. Freya. You know, honestly, that's a bold direction to take it. The Nugget, thank you for 14 months listening along while I sail the Caribbean in Black Flag Resynced. Glad to hear it, my friend. What do you do with a drunken sailor? Who knows? One day we'll find out. Thank you, my friend, for 14 months. That's awesome. Enigmatic Penguin, or as Benedict Cumberbatch calls it, a penguin. Thank you for the 5. How bad do you think things would need to get at BGS for Microsoft to let Todd go and deal with the bad PR? If we're being like pursuing hypotheticals and we're just saying, what would Todd have to do to get fired? I don't think they would ever fire him. That's the point. I don't see a situation unless he like is caught up in like an actual scandal of like, yeah, it turns out he ate someone. Like if that happened, then yeah, they'll fire him. But otherwise, even if he released like 3 flops in a row and clearly doesn't have it anymore, they would just be like, you should retire. You should retire. And he would announce retirement, be like, I'm going to stay on as a consultant or whatever, even though he's totally not. And they would just let him ride off into the sunset. Because inevitably there's an off ramp that avoids the bad PR of firing somebody like that. So I don't think he would ever get fired unless he did something like, you know, he took a stray dog and barbecued it. It was crazy. Brought it into the office, made everyone eat it. He said, hey, you all like dog meat anyways, don't you? It was really uncomfortable. So I think that's what it is. Astrolock, thank you for the 5. Xbox mommy cracking the whip, got Todd shaking. I mean, it's clear that what they've been doing, she is not doing anymore. So we're going to talk about that. Melissa, thank you again for those 5 gifted memberships. That was very generous of you. Thank you. Meta, thank you for the 5. Oh, Todd, who art in Bethesda, hallowed be thy creation engine. Give us this day our Fallout news and forgive us our impatience for more Fallout. Praise be. Praise be. Everyone in chat, praise him. Praise him. Praise be. Praise him. Thank you. Thank you. Show your respects. Davis Gaming Official, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Thank you, my friend. That's very nice of you. While I'm beyond excited for Fallout and Elder Scrolls news, I'm so happy to see more Starfield is coming as well. I love the game and I will die on that hill. It's a Bethesda game in space. Enough for me. I'm glad you like it, my friend. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And they do say they're bringing more. I just hope whatever they're doing is also fixing the structural stuff. People often say, Luke, why do you talk about Bethesda so much? And I always have to counter, just guys, it's because I'm a fan, dumbass. It's because I have historically loved their games, but I feel like they have been going in the wrong direction for a solid like decade now, which is only like 2 games, but they've gone the way of live service, microtransactions. They've taken all of the bad learnings from Ubisoft, like, and that's what's frustrating to me, you know? So I hope to see them get back on track. And if they do get back on track, that is awesome. That is amazing. That is what I hope for. And I hope that they figure out how to like address their structural issues, because I think even the most hardcore current Bethesda Game Studios fans who loved Starfield would agree it's ridiculous it took a year to get Shattered Space. It's ridiculous that it took another year to get the Terra Armada. Like it's just crazy. It takes them so long to do so little. You know, they should figure that out. And I hope that they do. And I hope that that's part of what's happening now. So I hope that this is just the start of them getting back on track. But we'll see. We'll see. It seems like at the very least, Asha is putting a lot of focus on it. So say we all think of the 5. Jai Courtney. Who is Jai Courtney? Oh, an Australian actor. Oh, is this guy that did Boomerang? Am I? Yes, it is. Okay. He, you know what? That could work. He's got the vibe, got the intensity. I could see that. Part of this, though, and this is going to be the part that we don't see, it's all behind the scenes. Part of this is going to be who is, for one, available to shoot like within a few months. Who is in current physical shape, good enough to jump into this without needing a year to train. And like who's ready to just commit to a 10-year plan right now, kind of on a whim. That's the tricky part that we won't see negotiated. Because bear in mind, they just shot 4 episodes. They will have, like, they have the sets built. They have all of the teams collected. They have the cameras rented, the lenses rented. They have all of this stuff ready to go, and they have to redo it all now. And so they don't want to delay for a year or 2. They want to like get going now. So they're going to be looking for people who are currently in good shape, which is why potentially somebody who's like a bodybuilder right now might be an honestly like good option for them. Somebody that's like, yeah, I just have to cut, give me a month and I'll get down to a lower body fat and we'll be good to go. Like that I think could go a long way for them. For sure. Let's see. Obi-Wan, thank you for the sub over on Twitch, my friend. Hi, Luke. If PlayStation 6 is supposed to come next year and Xbox sometime after, are they set up for any interesting launch exclusives, or is it going to be yet another wet fart of a console release? I'm leaning more towards a wet, swampy fart, if I'm going to be real, because I think it's pretty clear that they plan to do a big cross-generational period. So they're going to launch the PlayStation 6, but everything that comes out after that for like 4 years is going to be PS5 and PS6. So I think it's just going to be like the PS5 Pro is basically what it's going to look like. I don't think that it's going to have like any exclusives. They might have like an Astrobot be exclusive, but that's it. Like I really don't think Intergalactic's going to be exclusive. I don't think that the next God of War game is going to be exclusive. I don't think they're going to do any of that, because they just can't afford it. Like I think it's all going to be cross-generational. So I think it's going to be a bit of a wet fart, but it's still going to sell out everywhere. So let's just be real. The Rock for Kratos, dude, never say never. Hollywood loves The Rock. I don't know why, but they just do. They just do. It's bizarre, but they do. Hafthor Bjornsson, he have I think Hafthor, doesn't he have a condition where he has a condition where like half of his face is paralyzed, doesn't he? I mean, he's gigantic. Don't get me wrong. Like he's got the physique, but I'm pretty sure he has a condition where like half of his face is numb. And that doesn't really work for acting, you know? I'm not sure that works. One is a local Colorado guy. You guys know Brian Shaw? He's from Colorado. He's a fellow Coloradoan. He's like world champion strongman. This is him next to another like 6 foot tall man. He's gigantic. This is him next to other professional bodybuilders. Okay. Like he is huge, but he doesn't have the stereotypical like cut physique. He's just made of muscle. He's like 400 pounds and is just a freak of nature in terms of strength. But he doesn't have the standard like cut physique, you know? He's like an actual giant. Yeah, literally. I mean, like actual giant, but it's going to be interesting. We'll see which way they go. Let's see. Astrolock, thank you for that 5. Oliver Richards should be Kratos. He's playing Zangief in the new Street Fighter. He was big dude in season 3 of the Reacher. Oliver Richards. This guy. Oh, dude, he does kind of look scary. Just a big dude. He's the world's tallest bodybuilder. He's 7'2". Damn, dude. I will say he looks much more Nordic. He looks much less Greek, much more Nordic, you know? So it could work. At this point, you know, beggars can't be choosers. They just got to figure something out. They just got to figure it out. Let's see. Triple H for Kratos. How old is Triple H? I don't even know. He's like, he's 56. He does have the look. Like, if anybody doesn't know Triple H, I almost wrote Tipples. Triple H. Tipples. I think that'll get you on a list. Like back in the day, yeah, but this is him more now. He's like retired. I don't think he's like ready to go, you know? Like they need somebody that is shredded today. Maybe like 10, 15 years ago, they could call him up and have him hop on the set. But nowadays, I don't think so. That's the tricky thing. You got to get somebody ready to go now. That's the hard thing. Brock Lesnar, dude, I don't even know how old Brock Lesnar is now. Oh, he's 49. He is like, I think he's gotten smaller recently. Yeah. I think he had to get off cycle. He's just huge. He's like too big. But back in his heyday, dude, yeah, he could totally play the God of War. Totally. This is him in college. Just like a professional wrestler. He's always been ridiculously yoked, but this was him when he started, you know, smoking obsidian rocks and drinking gorilla blood like every day. It's just ridiculous. I mean, in his heyday, he was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I remember seeing him fight in the UFC at UFC. I think it was UFC 200 is the one. Is that the one he fought in? It was back in that era, back like when they still allowed advertising on shorts and stuff. But yeah, not anymore. He got his payday and left. Don't blame him. Let's see. Oops, I scrolled too far. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Michael Jai Wolf. He's a little older, but the guy's a beast. Could pull off the voice. Michael Jai Wolf. Jai Wolf, you said? Oh, White. Did I misread it? I think maybe you mean White, because I don't think you mean this guy. I don't think this is the guy you mean is Kratos. This guy, I could see that. I could see. Yeah, he's got the physique. That could work. It's also fun. This is from Courageous Woman magazine. Looks like I need to sign up. For a new subscription. Hello, Madrian. Thank you for that. Aaron Pierre could do it. Truly, Aaron. Aaron Pierre. It looks really familiar. Where do I know this guy from? Looks very familiar. He has the haunting eyes. A lot of Kratos, I end up looking at the eyes. Like, what do the eyes look like? Do they have that, like, I've seen stuff you couldn't even imagine vibe? You know, that's kind of what I'm looking for. The eyes. Look in the eyes. And he's got those kind of haunting eyes, you know? That could work. I don't know. I also wonder if there's other stuff that they've done. Like, do they want to get somebody very close to Ryan Hurst's physique so they don't have to remake costumes? You know, that's also a consideration. Like, do they not want to have to redo all the costumes for somebody that's like 7 foot tall? Okay, well, maybe we get somebody that's closer to his size. You know, there's so many of these questions and pieces of the puzzle that you just wouldn't think about as a viewer, but that they have to worry about for production, where they're like, no, if we cast him, we have to redo all of the costumes, and that's going to delay another 2 months or 6 months or whatever. Like, you know, it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Celebrity deathmatch idea: Asha Sharma versus Todd Howard versus Herman Holst. Well, Herman would just do his typical thing. Well, actually, I should correct that. Todd would do his standard thing and do nothing. He would just sit in the corner and stay there. Be like, no, eventually I'm going to do something awesome. Just not right now, I'm busy. But eventually it's going to be great. Just wait. And then Herman would be in the corner being like, yeah, I know everybody came here for boxing, but what if we instead did yoga? And everybody's like, that's not why we're here. We came to you for boxing. And he's like, I understand, but I have a better idea and you're going to like it. Even though you don't want it, you're going to like it. And then Asha would fire them both. I think that's about how it would go. Nicolas Cage as Kratos. That is also one I would watch the shit out of that one, dude. I would watch that so hard. Imagine, bro. Imagine if they did that. Oh, it would be so good. Boy! Ah, my son! Oh no! Thor, come on! Dude, it would be so good. It'd be so good. Have him do the, what is it? Spider-Man noir voice? Yeah, look here, say. It was so good. He's so good. Have Tom Holland as Kratos. I guess I'm dad of boy. God. Okay. Cryptic, and then we'll get into the actual topic. I swear we'll catch up on the other super chats right after. Imagine if we get an Obsidian, Fallout, Witcher 4, Divinity before we get Elder Scrolls 6, because I don't believe BGS will be ready before 2030. It doesn't sound like they will be, and I think that you're probably right that we get both of those. We might even get The Witcher 5 before we get Elder Scrolls 6, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. Edgar, thank you for the 5. Wouldn't they have to go structural code through? Wouldn't they have to go to structural code through, or though, to fix Starfield? There's too many loading screens. That's why I dropped it. Yeah, so if you're talking about load screens and that's the only way you can fix Starfield, yeah, you can't really fix it. It is what it is. What a lot of people are hoping for is that they are restructuring and doing that coding now for the Creation Engine v3 for Elder Scrolls 6, so there's no load screens when you like go up to a tavern and walk in. Because as of today, if they made Elder Scrolls 6 in Creation Engine 2, you like explore the open world, and just like in Skyrim and Fallout 4, you get to a building to like go inside a tavern or a castle, and there is a load screen before you can enter. Stuff that was acceptable 15 years ago that is not considered acceptable today. And certainly by 2030. I mean, that will be hilarious if they still have load screens between levels. So I hope that they're fixing that and trying to overhaul it. Time will tell. I personally don't think they can. I'm not an engineer, software engineer, but I've spoken to modders who are brilliant. And they have pretty much all told me that the amount of work required to get the Creation Engine working in a totally seamless way would be prohibitively expensive. Like, it would be so ridiculously difficult to make that work. It would be easier to just move engines, like by a large margin. That's at least their opinion as modders. And I think they generally know what they're talking about. So I am inclined to believe them. But that's why I'm expecting Elder Scrolls 6 will still have all of the load screens. Like, they'll probably have some more graphical bells and whistles, DLSS 5 and stuff, but I don't think they'll have much more than that. Dillybot, thank you for the very generous 10. With most of the OG leads who worked on New Vegas minus Chris Avallone, why are you so black-pilled about Obsidian giving Fallout another try? I guess to put my stance on the Obsidian Fallout project, as clearly as I can. I think what we were going, so rewind the clocks 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, the plan for Fallout was you get Fallout 5 in 2035. And it's probably going to be mediocre. It's probably not going to meet your expectations. I think 2 weeks ago, that's where we were. And other than that, you're going to get probably a Fallout 3 remaster, remake, whatever, in vein of like the Oblivion one. But nothing new, nothing massive other than Fallout 76 content. I think that was it. So you're just going to sit and wait for 2035 to get a 79 on Metacritic Fallout 5 that is still going to be disappointing to you. Now, I think what we're seeing is, of course, still they're going to do Fallout 76 updates. They're still going to do Fallout 5 eventually. But I think it's pretty clear that Asha is handing the keys to other people to take a whack at it. So even if Obsidian's game is not, Fallout New Vegas 2, even if it's not also like a cult classic masterpiece or whatever, and it lands in like the high 70s, low 80s, it's still more Fallout. And I think that still pushes Bethesda to be better. Like, I think a lot of Bethesda's problems recently have been because they are on an island alone and Phil has just been shipping them all the supplies they need, no questions asked. And so there's no hustle. There's no incentive to like be hungry and do something bigger, badder, or crazier. It used to be like, love them or hate them, BGS would regularly drop crazy amounts of content and games and surprise announcements and stuff like it was nothing. I remember in the reveal for Fallout 4, it was ridiculous because Todd comes up on stage. Everybody's really excited for the reveal of Fallout 4. And Todd gets on stage, announces that, but also announces, like with a big gameplay deep dive, of course, goes through all that, also announces the Pip-Boy that has its own mobile app attached to it so that you can actually use it as your inventory screen in the game. And then he goes and reveals a mobile game, which is like actually pretty expansive and very, very impressive, that launches that day, I believe. I think they shadow dropped it. And then they also go through, show up more settlement base building stuff, which was something that was not even expected. It wasn't even like leaked that they were going to have this. This was a total shock. Like, love it or hate it, they used to really have a lot of hustle and do a lot of crazy stuff, weapon mods and stuff, way more elaborate than anything they had in Fallout 3 for sure. Like, they used to come out swinging. And then a decade passed and they've done basically nothing. And I think it's just the ultimate example of complacency. Like, they don't have to try. At least under Phil, they didn't have to try. Pretty clearly. And so I'm hoping at the very least it pushes them to try. So even if I personally don't expect the Obsidian Fallout game to be like 10 out of 10. I don't expect it to win like Game of the Year because that's very, very, very hard to do. But I think the primary goal for them is to just get out there and get a solid performing game that gives Fallout fans something to sink their teeth into. And I think they'll be successful with that. So greed keeps ruining shit. I mean, it's greed and complacency, I think, are the two most dangerous things. Bungie is another example of how when you have a lot of money and you don't need to try anymore, you'll often just see the quality dip. And that's kind of what happened is all of the top level guys at Bungie got so comfortable, were making tons of money and didn't need to try anymore. And so they just mentally checked out. Destiny 2 plummets, they all bail, and then the studio's left with basically nothing. I mean, it's really tragic, but that's just what seems to be what happens. Even another company like Ubisoft. Ubisoft found amazing success with Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they thought that they could just ride that into the future without having to really try. Didn't work out too good for them over the last 5 years, Didn't really work. Finally catching you live. Glad to have you here, my friend. Glad to have you. Okay. Let's get to the bread and butter. Okay. Let's get to the bread and butter of what we're talking about. New segment. Well, everybody, we now have a much clearer idea of what's happening with Fallout and Elder Scrolls and everything BGS related. They posted this, a big breakdown. Big girthy breakdown of what they aim to do. And again, just to stress, this is very abnormal. Bethesda Game Studios does not typically share anything. They tend to go radio silent, not talk about much of anything. And it frustrates a lot of their own fan base too, to be very clear. I mean, there was the famous example of how they said, we'll have more to share about Starfield very soon. and then they sat on it for a year with like no reveals, no info, no nothing, and just didn't reply to anybody asking further questions about it. So the fans are like, did you abandon the game? Like, whenever your fans are asking, have you abandoned the game? That's never a good sign. Like, there shouldn't be a question. They should know. And so it seems like Asha got on the phone with Todd and was like, we're going to start doing things a little differently. Okay. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start doing things a little differently. And I think you will see as we go through this that Asha is being much more involved directly here than Phil ever was. She actually made a post describing how Todd Howard just shared plans for Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield franchises. These worlds have earned a special place with hundreds of millions of people over many years. I'm looking forward to what's next, including the partnership with Obsidian on a new Fallout game and closer collaboration with ZeniMax Online Studios on the Elder Scrolls. The achievements of these franchises are remarkable. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim has crossed 65 million units sold, becoming one of the 10 best-selling games of all time. Fallout 4 has crossed 35 million units sold, joining the top 25, and Starfield will soon reach over 1 billion hours played. She sees these IP as very valuable. And again, I think you're just going to see, as we go through this post, you're going to see that the way that Phil used to do things is no longer the case. Phil's general approach was, Todd is in charge of these things. He probably knows what he's doing. Leave him be. Just pay the bills for the studio. Let them work on stuff. The problem is the way Todd did things was to basically leave franchises dormant for decades between major releases. And, if you don't like it, suck it up. Play Fallout 76. We have a great, great game for you. It's called Fallout 76. And I think that Asha's just like, no. She came in as an outsider, lover or hater. She came in as an outsider, which means she did not have the baggage of Phil. Phil loves gaming, and I think that was his greatest strength and his greatest weakness, because it meant that he would go to meet the guys at Bethesda Game Studios and he'd talk with Todd, and he's like, Todd is a legend. I mean, this is Todd freaking Howard. So yeah, I'm going to let him do whatever he wants. And that kind of clouded his judgment, because even though somebody is a legend within the industry, that does not mean they are immune from mistakes. It does not mean they're immune to what should we say? Maybe chutzpah or to arrogance, or the word I'm missing the word. I'm blanking on the word. Oh, it's so close. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. What is that? Yeah, kind of the George Lucas effect. I think that's a good way of putting it. Silver guys. I think that's a good way of putting it. I do think hubris. Thank you, Moise. Yes, hubris. I was like so close. I was like, what is the word? It does not mean he's free from hubris. And I think you also, Silver guys, bring up a good point, the George Lucas effect. I think you're exactly right. There is a problem that happens when somebody is in a position of leadership and they get to a point where they're elevated so far above everybody else, whether they want to be or not, that they basically become immune to really constructive feedback. Like, nobody wants to be the guy that says, Todd, you're wrong. Nobody wants to be the guy that goes and says, yes, Mr. Miyazaki. Yeah, I think that idea for making the Duskbloods switch to exclusive, I think that's a terrible idea. Nobody wants to be the guy that comes in and questions the master, especially because that can then become sort of a cultural thing within the studio where you're questioning the all-powerful leader. You're not on the same team with us. You're not rooting with us. You're not helping us. It's a problem. Gabe Newell has said he's had the same problem. Well, to be clear, Master Guy, it is a problem within all companies. When I was in business school, we talked about it. We read a few books on Amazon specifically because there was a big problem at Amazon where Jeff Bezos was, of course, the guy. And he was in a position where people always wanted to just agree with what the big man said. So if Jeff said this, everybody magically started agreeing with him, And so the way that Jeff Bezos figured it out, at least started to deal with it, is number one, small meetings. They have a rule at Amazon called I think it's the 2 pizza rule, which is that no meeting should ever have more people than could be fed with 2 pizzas. So you should never, ever have a table of people that's like so massive that you couldn't cater it with 2 pizzas, 2 like medium pizzas. That it's their general rule of thumb, because when you get bigger than that, you're not going to be able to listen to everybody. And then what is the point of the meeting? Secondly, Jeff Bezos always said that he always, in all of his meetings, talks very last. He comes in, they have their bullet point list of things they need to get to, and he does not say a word until everyone else has spoken, because he doesn't want there to be any sort of bias trying to appeal to him. He waits till the very last second. And there's other cases, of course, with like it's often a company culture thing where people who question the direction of the big guy in charge, they get promoted or they get encouraged. And it also just generally matters whether the leader is like humble enough to take the feedback. That's also an example. Like there was this famous clip of, let's see, where is it? Can I find it? I'm not sure if I can find it easily. I think this is it. Like Elon was giving a tour of the Starship Foundry stuff in 2022, and a YouTuber was with him and then offers feedback on something.
Need a cold gas thruster system. You already have hot gas.
But this is only for the booster, right?
Yes. Although arguably, now you mention it, we might be wise to do this for the ship too. Thanks. Now that we're gonna fix that.
Jeez.
I'd say that's like one of the biggest improvements that we've made. It occurred to me while I was explaining it to you. I was like, wait, what are we doing?
You don't need.
Yeah. So like another example of at least in this case, you don't have to like Elon, but at least being willing to change your mind on stuff and not get entrenched in it. Be like, oh yeah, we don't need a cold gas thruster system because we have hot gas. So we just recycle that through the rocket and through the systems. You don't need to have two separate systems for it, for hot and cold. And then he's like, oh wait, but we should also be doing that with the booster. Oh yeah, we should totally be doing that. And then they went, redesigned it and made it better. It's something that seems really simple, but unfortunately in a lot of places, in all businesses, it's really easy for the people at the top to be complacent with things just being the way that they've always been and not pushing or trying to change anything, and so it just becomes business as usual. And I think that's kind of what happened at Xbox. Is for a long time, it was just, well, Todd knows what he's doing at Bethesda. Let him do his thing. We will just do whatever. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And when he finally has Starfield 2 and Elder Scrolls 6 ready, when he finally has that stuff ready, then we'll launch it. We'll, do the marketing stuff. But we just stay out of his way. And I can appreciate that. But I think it led to a situation where Todd probably needed a kick in the pants a little bit more. There's also, and I know I keep saying we're going to read it in just a second, but there's also a very important dynamic you need to understand within Bethesda. The guy that used to be, he was very, very close with Todd, apparently. He was very close with Todd, basically built BGS up from the ground up. He also was married literally to the former Wonder Woman, which is also kind of a fun fact. But this is Robert Altman. He was in charge of ZeniMax, built it up from nothing, and eventually would sell it to Xbox for $7.5 billion. He, though, very tragically passed away. I think it was a like gallbladder issue or something. He went into surgery. There was a complication and he passed away, which is really tragic. Died too early. But he was like Todd's guy. Todd was his right-hand man. They built up this company together. He's part of the reason why Fallout and Elder Scrolls are as big as they are. But he passed away in 2021. And it seemed like that was the last guy that Todd had known for a very, very long time that was kind of above him, that was kind of like a mentor. And so then Todd was kind of on his own. And I think in the last 5 years, we've seen just a lot of treading of water, not a lot of push, unfortunately. But I think that that's also an important dynamic at play here. So with all that said, let's get into the specific statements, okay? A note from Bethesda Game Studios. We love making these worlds as much as you love playing in them. Today, we want to share what's next for Bethesda Game Studios and what you can expect from us in the years ahead, which is, again, the fact that this hasn't happened before is amazing. Like, just tell people what they can expect. That up until now has been unacceptable. I think it's like an old school marketing approach. Say nothing until you have something big, but still. 40 years we've built games that have entertained almost 500 million players. More than just games, these are worlds. Worlds for you to explore, shape, and make your own. Worlds we return to together. That's what's driving us forward. We're investing more deeply in the worlds players love, giving creators a bigger role in shaping their experiences. I think that just means paid mods, but anyway. And bringing our teams closer together so we can get our games into your hands sooner, support them longer, and continue building them alongside you for decades to come. Starfield continues. With over 17 million players logging almost 1 billion hours to date, Starfield remains an important part of our future. As we enter year 3, we will continue expanding the settled systems with new stories, targeted gameplay improvements, and additional updates while preparing for the launch of a new Starborn content next year. More than 40% of players already customize their experience through creations, and will continue investing in creators and giving players new ways to make Starfield their own. Okay. Again, you see creations and creators specifically outlined. These are both just different terms for like paid mods and their system for paid mods or microtransactions. I know it's like paid mod. No, it's creations. It's microtransactions that you don't have to make. Let's be completely real. Okay. Let's be completely real about what it is. It's microtransactions they don't have to make. So, yeah, that I think is a pretty key component of their vision for a lot of this stuff. Baby, you gotta love recurrent revenue. Tell you what. Created by players. We've believed from the beginning that our worlds belong not only to the people who make them, but also to the people who played them. That's why we've long provided players with the tools to create their own experiences dating back to Morrowind construction set. This year marked another major milestone for creations with its expansion to Fallout 4, joining Skyrim and Starfield. We're proud to say creators have already earned more than $10 million in royalties from their work. How much did you guys make? How much did you guys make? I'm just curious. If you guys don't know, nobody's allowed to publicly say how much they make from these. They're all under NDA if they get paid by creations. I've spoken to a couple people, let's just say, who would potentially know. But the split, I'm sure it's different for some, but for others, it's maybe better. For others it might be worse, but the common number I have heard and seen is that if $1 comes in, that gets split a couple of ways. Okay, but most importantly, you have approximately 40%, so 40 cents goes to BGS, 30 cents goes to the platform, so like Steam or PlayStation or whatever, as a processing fee. And then the remaining 30 cents goes to the modder. Okay. So if you're buying like a creation that costs $1 through the Xbox like Game Pass version of the game, Microsoft / Bethesda are making 70 cents on that. Versus the modder taking 30. Okay, so that's roughly how it is expected to break down. It could be way better, but they have never clearly explained it. But that's just roughly how it breaks down. Still, it's interesting that they make money, but again, this is one of my biggest frustrations with Bethesda, is that they just turn their single player games into live service games. And then they created an incentive to not flood their games with content, because if other people do, they don't have to do any of the work, but they still make 70 cents on the dollar. Like it's frustrating. Anyway, that seems to still be a core component of their vision for the future of Starfield and their other games. The future of Fallout. Fallout is one of our biggest priorities today. Fallout 5 remains our long-range destination, and we have multiple Fallout projects in active development right now. Fallout 76 continues to be home to millions of players exploring Appalachia together. With nearly 70 free updates and released to date, the journey is far from over. In fact, we have a major Fallout 76 expansion planned for next year, Raven Rock, a prequel story to Fallout 3. Okay. Fallout 4, the most award-winning game in the franchise, just celebrated its 10-year anniversary and recently passed over 35 million copies sold, continuing to attract a new audience every year. That's all cool. It's like as cool as a prequel story to Fallout 3 sounds, the fact that it's locked in Fallout 76 just gives me heartburn instantaneously. Acid reflux all the way. We also know many players want to revisit previous Fallout experiences. While we're not announcing any dates today, we have been working on remasters for both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Interestingly, they describe them both as remasters, not remakes. Okay, that's the first time we've heard clear descriptions. Leakers have said both. Leakers have said remake and remaster. Others have said that it kind of is both, which is kind of like the Oblivion one. We'll see what this actually looks like. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm not sure if a remaster... It just depends. I have played Fallout New Vegas vanilla recently. Same with Fallout 3. They are products of their time. Even back in 2008, Fallout 3 was criticized for poor gunplay. Okay, New Vegas as well. So even back then, like controls, like there not being a sprint button, you know, things like that. I would argue they might need more than just a remaster, but maybe this is just a colloquial term and they actually are going to rebuild some stuff. Like, for example, one of the most necessary mods, I think, once you get used to it, for both of these games is the one that puts the Fallout 4 looting system where it has a little menu that pops up so you don't have to open a totally separate screen to open inventory for like boxes and stuff. That makes your life so much easier if you can use that instead of the vanilla inventory stuff. I would love for them to have that. That would be great as an addition. Put the Fallout 4 inventory looting system in that. That'd be amazing. That'd be great. We'll see if they do. But again, the solution may just be remaster it so that you can sell it again. And then also just have these guys add in those quality of life features, you know. That might be the strategy. Fallout Shelter continues to be the most popular way to experience Fallout on the go with more than 250 million players. There's more ahead for Fallout Shelter, including new seasons. An unscripted Fallout Shelter television project is also in the works with our partners at Amazon Studios and Kilter Films. An unscripted Fallout Shelter television project? What does that mean? Like a reality show or like a... What does that mean? An unscripted Fallout Shelter television project? Is that just a reality show? I guess. Okay. It's like Mr. Beast survive in the shelter as long as you can. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. Could be cool, honestly. Like it could be cool. Okay. We'd like to congratulate Kilter Films and Amazon Studios on the 10 Emmy nominations for Fallout Season 2, and production on Season 3 is already underway. Okay. It was rumored a while ago. I vaguely remember like them talking about a Fallout Shelter project, but I guess I didn't like fully process doing a reality show set in a Fallout Shelter. Yeah, like a tank, like fish tank or something. Now that would be cool. I wonder how that works. Interesting. While we won't host a traditional Fallout Day broadcast this year, we're already planning something special for Fallout's 30th anniversary in 2027, when Fallout Day will be celebrated live in Washington, D.C. Interesting. I think this is, I mean, I kind of get it. If you have a major update coming to Fallout 76 next year, yeah, major Fallout 76 expansion planned for next year, so 2027, they're doing that prequel to Fallout 3. That to me, if it's a prequel, this probably launches around the time of the remaster, right? If it's a prequel to Fallout 3, you probably do that and then Fallout 3, or do it around the same time or something. Honestly, you probably do Fallout 3 after the prequel, right? Right? Probably. So that makes me think Fallout 3 is like late next year. Woof. That Fallout New Vegas one is even later. What is interesting though, to just note, going back to this, I just realized this. Announcing that they're doing a remaster of Fallout New Vegas, to me, makes it way less likely that what Obsidian is going to do is a remake of New Vegas. Because if they're remastering it, why would you bother just doing the like same thing twice? It seems like it really is going to be a totally new project. I'm open to it. I think that is more difficult than it needs to be, but I'm open to it. Studio collaboration. The Wasteland continues to expand as we team up once again with our longtime friends at Obsidian Entertainment. They're our best friends and we love them. We love working with them and we appreciate that you guys love their work so much. So much. We love that you guys love Obsidian. So happy for them. I'm so happy. We're happy to confirm they're working with us on a new Fallout project. We'll have more to share in the future. Dude, I don't mean to be just the buzzkill, but bro, it actively makes me less excited when I see that they're working with BGS. Like I know that BGS is in charge of it, but they have just burned me so hard in the last handful of years with projects that I have like so little confidence in BGS that to see them involved in something makes me less excited for it. I'm open to being surprised. We'll see. We're also bringing our teams closer together across Bethesda. ZeniMax Online Studios will partner closely with Bethesda Game Studios on the Elder Scrolls franchise while continuing to deliver incredible new experiences for the Elder Scrolls Online. Season 1, Return of the Thieves Guild, recently launched, and the team has more planned for the future. By aligning more directly across the franchise, we can create even better experiences for players. Yeah, I mean, this is also just something that we talked about last week. Asha seems insistent on trying to unify the vision, get everybody on the same ship, basically. Because what it previously was that everybody was kind of on their own ship. The Fallout 76 guys are kind of doing their own thing. Elder Scrolls Online is totally out left field doing their own thing. Of course, the first part, or the single player games, are kind of doing their own thing at the same time. So everybody just felt very fragmented, and that left players really frustrated, because it was like, if I want Fallout 5, I'm not that interested in Fallout 76. Like, I'm not playing that game. So it was very fragmented, while Todd was preaching like it wasn't. It was really bizarre. So I hope that they can unify it a little bit more. I just would encourage Asha to appreciate that ESO, Fallout 76, they are not what single player gamers are looking for, okay? If it was, they would not be complaining about wanting Fallout 5 and New Vegas remake and all that stuff. They wouldn't. Like, they would be satisfied. And they might be like, oh, that'd be nice, but they'd be satisfied. They'd have something to play. The reason they're so frustrated is because they haven't. They just haven't had anything for a long time. Bringing our teams closer together will help us build a stronger foundation for everything we create next. The Elder Scrolls and beyond! That foundation extends beyond our teams to the technology, tools, and systems that will power the next generation of Bethesda RPGs. Our teams are now developing The Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 on Creation Engine 3. Okay. A shared technology platform. I have a dog. She's cute. Thank you, my queen. Do you want to say hi, everybody?
Very wiggly.
Oh, you wiggly?
I'm not feeling this right now.
Oh, you're not feeling it. You're feeling a little sickly. Oh, he's a good girl.
Say hi, guys.
This is Freya. If you've not met Freya, little puppy appearance. This is Miss Freya. Yeah. She was upset last night. She wanted to sleep on our bed, and she's not allowed to. She's crate trained, but she was very upset about it. Very upset about it. Yeah, but you're a good girl. You're a good girl. Oh, she's so cute. She's so freaking cute. Can't handle it.
Just keep going.
Yeah, well, she's been hanging out with Romeo in the backyard, and Romeo is a hound, and so he does the whole like he whines like that when he wants something, and so I think she's learning bad things from him. Oh no, her nose is all runny. Your nose is runny, or you were just drinking some water? Oh, drinking some water. Okay, just a little drooly. Oh, what a precious baby. Little precious baby. Anyway, I love you. You're a good girl.
You got your dog and your bitch. Which one's which?
No comment. That's a trick question. That's a trap. It's a trap. Was she created in the creation engine? No, she works. She's a good girl. Yes, you are. Oh, you good girl. She's just so cuddly. It's ridiculous.
Hello.
Oh, do you want to say something to everybody? Oh, thank you.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Have a good time with Mama, okay? Have a good time.
She can go take a nap, I think.
Yeah, she looks very
She
tired.
didn't sleep at all last night.
She looks tired, yeah. Okay. Let her have the bed. You guys grab the crate. Yeah, thank you. She is precious. She is precious. The dog said Phil Spencer sucks. Yeah, kind of. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So Creation Engine 3. I'm gonna be real. I'm not surprised they're doing this, because it's important to maintain like a healthy appreciation for where we are versus where we were. Back with Starfield, we're rewinding the clocks. I just want to make sure people do not forget, okay? Back around the marketing cycle of Starfield, everything was framed as Creation Engine 2 is going to revolutionize Bethesda's games. Like, it is going to take their games into the stratosphere. It will allow them to be competitive with modern, like, AAA gamers and studios. And I actually, like, I made a video, Creation Engine 2. I made a video a long time ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. It's got to be 3 years ago, I mean, at this point. But look at this. Look at this. Creation Engine 2 is not that big of a deal. This video I made describing how this is August 1st of 2023. So almost 3 years ago, okay? Almost 3 years ago. I don't remember how I cut my eye. I cut my eye like right there. That's crazy. But in this video, I basically describe how I think the Creation Engine 2 stuff is just a lot of marketing BS. It's just them saying that they've added bells and whistles to an engine that otherwise is the same as we've always seen it. Like, don't get too excited. You know, don't get too excited. It was basically the premise of all of it. As you can see, while most of Starfield's development has been in-house, Microsoft's ATG, or Advanced Technology Group, has been assisting Bethesda Game Studios since early 2022, helping with things like console optimization to ensure Starfield looks and runs great on both Series S and X. Todd said, "We're just so happy with what the new engine. It took us so long to do. Our tech team, there are wizards led by Chris Rodriguez and Joel Denault. What we're able to do in the game and have all of these things look amazing and running from all the items we're simulating in people's spaceships, full planets, our lighting model is just awesome. It's real-time GI, global illumination." He described all this stuff. And now that we've had the game, I think I can safely say I told you so. You know? I think it's safe to say I was right. Okay? I think it's fair to say that the Creation Engine 2 was not that big of a deal. It was just marketing, you know, at the end of the day. That's all it really was. And so the reason I say this is because now the cycle is beginning once more, okay? You are seeing all of these same people that were hyping up Creation Engine 2 that are going to now hook on to Creation Engine 3 and be like, oh, well, this time they fixed it. This time it's going to be cutting edge and everything. And it's just not. Okay. I've been here before, my friends. It is the same Creation Engine, because you just have to ask yourself, what is the standard? What is the requirement for changing it from 2 to 3? Literally, Todd just saying so. Okay. It's just Todd being like, it's 3 now. That's all it takes. Okay. So what is the threshold? Well, once they believe that it's going to be beneficial to call it 3 versus just Creation Engine 2. And I think the benefit of them saying 3 is that it allows people to speculate that a lot of the things they didn't like about Starfield's implementation of all of their tech have been fixed or addressed in some way. Which I think is calculated, you know. I can't wait for more loading screens. Well, that's one thing they're going to say here. I think you will see over the course of the next couple of years, you will not see Bethesda mentioning load screens or anything. Todd will talk about it, be like, oh, we cannot wait for players to experience seamless exploration. They'll describe stuff like that. But they'll never come out, I think, clearly and say, we've gotten rid of the loading screen issue people hated from Starfield. I don't think they'll say that, because I don't think they can get rid of it. Again, I've spoken to modders way smarter than me who have at least said it is ridiculously difficult to rework the Creation Engine to get rid of the loading screens. It's just not practical. It's not doable, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's at least what they have said to me. And I think they generally know what they're talking about. So this, I can't say I'm surprised that they're reframing it as Creation Engine 3, but literally all this is just a name on a software stack. Like, it is just a title. I don't magically think because I renamed Chrome to super ultra fast greatest browser ever that it somehow changed. Okay? That's not how that works. If I rename one of the YouTube channels to the biggest YouTube channel ever, it doesn't make it so. Okay? It's just a name. So I will believe it when I see it, but I'm not surprised they're labeling it 3. Especially it's all the more hilarious when you remember that in the marketing of Starfield, they were describing how the Creation Engine 2 was going to be used for the Elder Scrolls 6. Starfield launches is technologically really behind the curve of the competition. People are mostly frustrated by the game when it comes to the tech restrictions. And so conveniently now, oh, well, actually, we're using Creation Engine 3 for it. You know, it's just moving the goalpost, basically. It's a shared technology platform we've been building since Starfield's launch. Since everybody said they hated the engine in Starfield. It allows our teams to support multiple projects simultaneously with new tools, rendering, and systems that define our games. Fallout 5 is currently in pre-production. Elder Scrolls 6 is our primary development focus today, with the majority of our team currently working on the next chapter of the franchise. With over 65 million copies sold, players are still exploring Skyrim 15 years later, but we know it's been a very long wait for the sequel. The next chapter is on the way. We're where we planned to be, loving how it looks and playing it every day. It exists. Please. It exists. We're totally not just sitting on our hands. It's totally real. Dude, this is like one of their, I'm sure they've done market research. This is now the second or third time I've heard somebody within the upper echelons of these companies specifically say that they are able to play the Elder Scrolls 6. They don't say it's close. They don't say next year. They don't say this generation. They don't say anything like that. But Matt Booty, these guys, I think Asha said the same thing. They have described how it is playable. And I think that is because they've done market research and there's a lot of people on the internet that think it's fake, that don't think it's real. like they probably haven't even started yet. And I think that this is their way of being like, no, it's real. It exists. Totally real. Totally real. It's just funny. Whenever you see the same like talking point echoed multiple times across an organization, you have to consider that it's coordinated, right? It's intentional, that they are saying it is playable right now in some capacity. You know, you don't hear CDPR needing to come out and be like, we can play Witcher 4. It's playable. You don't really hear that. It's only when they're trying to counter something. So it's just funny. The road ahead. Across Bethesda Game Studios, we're building for the future of Fallout, the Elder Scrolls, and Starfield. We're investing in our technology, bringing teams closer, supporting our live games, for sure you are, expanding into new forms of entertainment, and developing the next generation of Bethesda RPGs. We couldn't be more excited for what's ahead and wanted to share as much as we could today. We can't thank you enough for all you've given to us and these worlds, and we can't wait to continue them together. Bethesda Game Studios. I think, so they shared some more pictures. So these are just kind of quick splash screens that echo what they already described. So Starfield continues. They stress they are not abandoning it, even though some people might want them to. They are not. Legends Reborn, remastered for Fallout 3 and New Vegas are in the works. Who knows when we see them? The fact that the next stop, Raven Rock, the fact that this is coming to Fallout 76 next year tells me Fallout 3 is probably first, and it's coming later next year as well. New Vegas remaster, God knows when, but somewhere. I think this also really makes it likely that whatever Obsidian's working is not New Vegas related. It's going to be something totally different. They have new shows coming, of course. ESO, so they're bringing the teams together. ZeniMax Online Studios will partner even more closely with BGS. I think after we saw the Blackbird project shut down last year, and we also saw the team at ESO laid off significantly this year, I think it's likely that ZeniMax Online is basically just going to slowly become a support studio for Bethesda, and ESO is going to slowly be winded down. That's kind of my expectation, but we'll see. Mustafa is asking for them to remake Oblivion in Creation Engine 3 and dump the Unreal Engine. That's bait. That's what that is. That's bait. Nobody should be working on Fallout at Bethesda. Only the Elder Scrolls. Enough already. Creation Engine 3. For the love of God, let go of your 24-year-old engine. It's the albatross around your product's proverbial necks. The bugginess never stopped being excusable. All over decades. Oh,
donated $20 through Super Chat. When you say that modders say it's difficult to get rid of loading screens, do they mean the systems are layered so much that you need to essentially use a different engine? I don't know if I am explaining myself.
No, so first of all, thank you for the 20. Very generous of you. Thank you. To put it kind of overly simply, okay, this is as I understand it, as it was described by the modders I talked to, this was back around when Starfield came out. I did a video describing how, like, I asked modders, I reached out to a bunch and a bunch of them reached out to me, and I asked modders, can you fix Starfield? Can you fix these problems? And basically everybody said, not realistically, no. Like, theoretically, sure, you could overhaul stuff, but it would just be a sequel. Like, at that point, it's just a sequel. And the reason is because the way the creation engine works is basically that every time you have a playable area, you're limited in terms of the scale of it, so you can't go endless. And the way that the game is set up is with physical objects within like a playable space. Think of it almost like you have individual windows for MS Paint, right? Can you open multiple windows of MS Paint? I don't actually know. Can you open new? No, you can't. Okay, well, it is what it is. It's almost like this. So you have, your map and level designed out here, and every time you want to do something new, you have to create a new page. So like, you're loading in a new map. This is for the wasteland, and then this is the map for inside Diamond City, and then this is inside the submarine, and this is inside one of the underground bases. This is inside the skyscraper levels and all this. And so you have individual levels that have been loaded out. And there's multiple reasons for this. It's because it speeds up development. You can assign designer 1 to work on this, designer 2 to work on this. You can have designer 3 work on this. And then they all get kind of collated together. It's almost like chapters of a book. You have different people working on different chapters, and then they all get stitched together. As opposed to like a Google document where everybody can be working on it at the same time. Unreal Engine allows for basically massive teams across the globe to work sort of like Google Docs, where everything is synchronized. Creation Engine doesn't really work the same way. Again, this is hyper oversimplified, but kind of rough descriptions. The other problem for the Creation Engine is actually the same problem that happened with the Farlands in Minecraft. Farlands. Okay. There was this problem in Minecraft where up until they eventually patched it, there was an issue where once you got past a certain distance from the spawn point of the map, the math would break. And so you'd reach what was basically the edge of the world, and the Farlands would be found. It's 12 million blocks from spawn. And it basically is just where the math for generating the terrain breaks down because of how the engine saves numbers using floats. It's like a coding artifact, basically. And to a much more severe extent, the Creation Engine has the same problem, where once you reach a certain distance from your spawn point, from where the center of the map is, from these center points, once you reach out to the edge, the math breaks. And physics simulation breaks down. And there's other things that break down with like how characters walk. Like all of a sudden NPCs will walk at 3 times the normal speed, and their animations start breaking because the math is just breaking. Because the engine is, it's almost like if you think of a really high density grid of data or of like lines, gridded paper, really dense lines in the center of the map, but as you get further and further out, the distance between each of those lines grows bigger and bigger and less accurate. So, when you're in the center of the map, when you're over here, like you can get extremely precise down to the millimeter, location for where an object should be, for the math calculations on physics and everything. But as you get further away, the accuracy breaks down, and maybe you can only pinpoint a location in the engine down to a meter or down to 5 meters or whatever, and everything starts to break because the engine's like, well, you have to be moving forward, but I can only move you 1 meter at a time because of how we're calculating distances and stuff. And so you're going to end up going light speed before long. Things just break. That's the point. Things break. Now with Minecraft, they were able to patch it and fix it. Okay. Because it ultimately is a math issue. The problem for Bethesda is that literally everything they do is built around having these fish bowls that are created. So while they may be able to make the fish bowls effectively way bigger so that it's not a big issue. So for example, like they just take one of these and expand it out. So now it's this big. They could do that. And then the whole map of Elder Scrolls 6 is within one playable area or whatever. They might be able to do that. it's just not that easy. You know, it's just not that easy because everything else they do when it comes to level design, when it comes to encounter design, when it comes to everything is built around having individual scenes basically and sets. All of their questing is like this NPC goes to here and has to like warp to this room, basically this level, and then they warp out from there back to the open world and stuff. So it would require total redesigns of how they actually build stuff. It's just not that, it's not that simple, right? It's just not that simple. The way that they, and when I spoke to the modders, the way the modders were entertaining trying to fix Starfield was basically to take these individual fish bowls and then stitch them together. So you have one fishbowl here, and the way the vanilla game handles it, each of these would have to be loaded into separately. But they tried to find a way to make it so you reach the border and then it loads you into the next one, but warps you to this edge, and then you can just continue running. The problem is even that still has a load screen. You know, it doesn't actually fix it. It's just it's a load screen, but stitching these together. And because of how, again, the creation engine is built with these fish bowls, you have really high density areas close to the center. You have really low density areas on the outside. And then you have like no man's land where basically nothing happens on the very outskirts edge in Starfield or any of their other stuff, because the accuracy for everything breaks down. So they just don't put dense stuff in there. So you could do the same thing, but it just doesn't really fix anything because, again, you'll load from boring place into another boring place. And then you go back to interesting, boring place. Oh, interesting stuff. So it doesn't actually fix anything. It's just, again, a way of covering it up, trying to hide it, you know. Creation engine loads in chunks and doesn't stream like other engines. That's what causes it. Modders can't fix it, but the engine devs certainly could. It's a question of time rather than being able to do it. Well, exactly. Like the way that the modders described it is that you could overhaul all of these things, like their dev process, the way the engine works, all of that. But at some point, you're just basically rewriting the engine and you might as well just move to another one. You know, like at some point, it will be cheaper and more time efficient to just do something else. They clearly don't want to do that. So it is what it is. But I also think that there is a component of this where, you know, we describe it loading in chunks and simulating stuff in that way. I think that there's a lot of legacy tech that Bethesda relies on a lot, like their questing stuff, their NPC AI, like the creations system for paid mods. Part of their vision is to be able to have all of this on the same platform. And I think they really don't want to rebuild it in Unreal Engine. And the other thing is, this is the part nobody seems to like want to acknowledge. Bethesda going and using Unreal Engine means they have to pay royalties. And likely they would have to pay royalties also on the creations if they can even get those working, because Unreal Engine is much less mod friendly than the creation engine is. So their whole vision of like a live service game where players and modders do all the work to make microtransactions for them, that goes out the window if they move to Unreal Engine, which is why they just can't. Doesn't work that way, you know? But yeah, the key point which you brought up is data streaming. And that's just, say what you will about Ubisoft, okay? Say what you will about Ubisoft. I don't care. Cancel me. I don't care. Ubisoft, AC Origins is a good example. Okay? Ubisoft has some of the most ridiculous data streaming and have had some of the best data streaming tech in the industry for open world games forever, okay? It's not even close. The creation engine could not do what you're about to witness, okay? This is Assassin's Creed Origins in 2017, okay? Running on PS4 and Xbox One hardware. As you can see, Bayek, if you've never played the game, Bayek has Senu, I believe, is the Hawk's name. But you can fly, you can pop it up, and it can fly across the map from beginning to end. It is fully simulating all of these NPC schedules, all of the the individual like NPCs walking, guards patrolling. It's simulating all of this stuff in real time. You can see all of these locations. Those are all like animal herds that are running and that you can hunt for crafting materials and stuff. All of this is being simulated in real time. All the while, bear in mind, Bayek is still back where he was standing when this started. Enemies can come attack Bayek because they're still simulating that. And if he's attacked, this breaks, you warp back to Bayek. Okay, they're simulating all of this stuff in real time. You can fly straight down to these locations and see what's going on there and preview the environments before you arrive. All of this, it's doing all of the boat simulation, all of the weather simulation, all of this is happening. He's been flying for 15 minutes straight, and then watch. Once he gets to the end, he reaches the desert. The creation engine could never watch. Watch. He's going to warp back. He's going to hit B. It despawns the bird and then loads you straight back to Bayek. What? That was in 2017. Okay. 2017. That's what data streaming looks like. The creation engine just can't, like, it can't do that. Okay, it can't. You ever wonder why you don't see a lot of mods adding like motorcycles to New Vegas or to Fallout 4 or something? It's because they break everything. Because the engine can't stream data in fast enough. Like, the horse in Skyrim apparently like operates effectively on the same system as just running. They just speed you up and tie your animation to the horse. It's not an actual vehicle. Like, it's crazy. But this is like, these are the foundational tech improvements that like Ubisoft made going back into the early 2010s when they started building out these open world Assassin's Creed games. They laid the foundation for seamless open world exploration. And now they benefit from it because all of their systems, the development, everything is built around that. Bethesda never did that. And so they put all their chips on and bet basically that people wouldn't mind the load screens. And then they realized kind of too late that people minded a lot. Architect, thank you. That's ridiculous. 10 gifted subs on Twitch. That's ridiculous. Thank you, my friend. Hey, man, I'm still going to enjoy the content later. I appreciate you, my friend. That's crazy. Thank you so much for that. That's crazy. And if you just got a sub over on Twitch, join our sub-only Discord, okay? Join our Discord. Sub-member-only Discord. We have members-only content, sub-only content that you get where you see, like, behind-the-scenes stuff. Jacob and I think, are going to try to go to a retro gaming store and buy a Wii and set that up. I think that could be really fun. So get over there if you haven't already, okay? Would love to have you. Let's see. You probably get roasted for it a bit, but I appreciate your financial tidbits. Educates me to Google enough to understand again. Here's the tuition. I appreciate you, man. I think it's... I enjoy it. And honestly, everybody takes a shot when I mention I have a finance degree. So I'm just helping everybody get a little buzzed. You know, got to do my part. Got to do my part. You know, little by little. Little by little. We're just trying to help everybody have a better Friday. Tell you what. Have you guys watched the Jason Schreier interview with Todd? No, not yet. Not yet. That is next on the to-do list. So again, just to go back to all of this, just to rehash all of these things. I don't know, honestly, if Jacob is keeping all of this in the same clip or not. I'll let him decide. But all of this to say, to wrap all this up, Asha is much more involved now with Bethesda. She's telling them they need to communicate clearly what their vision is, what they're doing. No more radio silence for years on end, leaving people questioning. The whole idea is that Asha wants people to invest in Xbox. That means buying hardware. That means buying like Game Pass subscriptions for sure. But it also more generally means just buying into the ecosystem, being interested and invested in the IP and the games that they have coming up. And it's really hard to do that when you don't say a damn thing about your stuff. That's what this is. She's coming in telling them they need to communicate, they need to be transparent, and that's what they're pushing for now. This, honestly, I know some people are like super giddy about this. I don't see anything in here that particularly excites me as somebody that's been really frustrated with Bethesda for a long time. And I'm just saying that not to be a Debbie Downer, but just simply because multiple, like 3 or 4 separate times, they are describing how, of course, they're doubling down on like Starfield, but more specifically, they're doubling down on creations, paid mods, which are just microtransactions made by other people. They are often like the least interesting part, in my opinion, of these games. I don't love that that's part of the big vision of the future of these IP, okay? I feel like right as that became the primary concern in 2018 for Bethesda, the quality plummeted. You know, I feel like that's when it really started to go downhill. And seeing that they're doubling down on it doesn't exactly excite me. Hearing acknowledgement of some of the stuff that their core players actually care about, like Fallout 3 and New Vegas Remastered, Elder Scrolls 6, hearing stuff like that described and talked about openly is really refreshing, because again, for years, it's just been, if you bring up Fallout, we'll play Fallout 76, loser. Like, that's generally the approach that's been put forward. But still, 99% are free, but sure. Yeah, I mean, it depends on which ones you look at. Some of them are free. There are, and to be fair, let me be very clear. There are some paid mods that are through the creation system or creation club system that are legitimately really, really good. That, you know, I'm not saying that they're all garbage. In fact, we did a video for Starfield where I spent money on paid mods to see how good they were compared to Bethesda's paid mods, because Bethesda will publish their own official ones. And so I went in and I bought a number of them and just tried to compare the Bethesda official mod or creation versus like one of those independent modders, and the independent modders stuff was consistently way better, not just better value, but better quality and everything. So they do good work. My point is, it creates a system where, again, Bethesda is incentivized to leave holes in the puzzle so that other people can come in and fill those holes and then sell you the solution, you know. And even if they sell it to you for $1, or maybe they don't even sell it to you at all for money, maybe it is a free download, somebody just uploaded a mod to fix it. It just reinforces the age-old problem with Bethesda, which is modders will fix it for us. You know, it's been a meme for decades at this point, because it's true. Like, Bethesda will leave stuff and it's like, do we need to add in the inventory thing from Fallout 4 to the New Vegas remake or to the Fallout 3 remake? Modders will do it. Like, that hand waving is just what happens, unfortunately, a lot within BGS, apparently. And I think that this just reaffirms that that's going to continue happening. As for all this other stuff, you know, doubling down on Fallout, I understand why they want to do that, and they absolutely should. I don't know what this Obsidian project is going to be, but now I'm much less, I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything New Vegas related. I think it's going to be something totally new. I thought the slam dunk was to just do a remake or remaster of New Vegas to get your feet under you, but they seem to be doing that internally at BGS, which is weird. But that's what they seem to be doing. So all of this is intriguing. At the very least, it signals that Bethesda is putting a lot of eggs in the Bethesda basket, and they want to really, really double down on it. So we'll see. But you also notice there's no real timelines in any of this. So I still think Elder Scrolls 6 is looking like 2020, probably 28, more likely 29, possibly even 2030 if they have to delay it, like the union was saying they might have to. And if that's where we're at, if they're actually like delaying to 2029, 2030, that's crazy, man. But anyway, time will tell. But with all this, Asha seems to have also stepped in and told Todd to grow up, because Jason Schreier did an interview with Todd for the first time in 15 years. This is a big deal, because Todd, or someone, probably Todd, had Jason blacklisted about 15 years ago. And all of a sudden, right as all this stuff is happening, as Asha comes in and is like, stop taking 20 years to make games, figure it out. Now they're doing this. Actually talking. So we're gonna look at this. I think we'll split it, do it in a separate video so that they don't end up being 2 hours long. But yeah, let's look at this. Okay. Do I have? I don't think I do. Okay. But we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna go through this. There's a chance for Luke. To be clear, if I were Todd, I wouldn't want to talk to the guy who has a cardboard cutout of me. I mean. You know, I wouldn't want to deal with that. Let's see. Do 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 do. Okay. Okay. I'll catch up on these super chats real quick. Okay. 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 Nodlock, thank you for that.
Okay, the miss things. Plan is if it takes 20 years to release a sequel in an IP. That never gives the devs time to learn from
Oh, it cut off. Nodlock, thank you for that 20. Super generous. I wanted to say I think a huge problem with Todd's It's Okay to Miss Things plan is if it takes 20 years to release a sequel in an IP, that never gives the devs time to learn from past games and improve on fan feedback. I agree. It also effectively, you got to remember that these studios are churning talent constantly, right? People will work on this game, maybe another one, but then they leave for another studio because they got a promotion and then they like cycle back maybe occasionally. But a lot of the time, the people that made that game or worked at the studio 20 years ago are not there 20 years in the future. You know, that's just not how it works. You lose talent, you lose skill, and that's just generally what seems to happen. And so when I see like, when I see that they're taking 20 years to do it, I think that it's not just that they don't really appreciate the fan feedback. It's that it's basically like they're making a brand new IP every time they launch it, or not a new IP, but they're basically rebooting the franchise every time they do a game in it. Because that's what I think Fallout 5 will effectively feel like. I think it'll just be like, oh yeah, this is
At
like
the Simple Box donated
totally
$20
different.
through Super Chat.
I don't think it'll feel
Do
like
you
a
think
sequel.
this means the remasters will use Creation Engine 3 rather than Unreal Engine layered on top? Could that be the hold up with them?
It's a good question. Thank you for the 20. That's super generous. It's a good question. I mean, what we do know for a fact is that the original Fallout 3 remaster, this one, where's the original document? Let me see if I can find it. All of the articles are flooded with the news from today. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, so this article was from 2020. And as you can see, back in 2020, Bethesda and Microsoft were working on this stuff. But you can see fiscal year 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, okay? When they released this, they had originally intended for like Starfield to launch in fiscal year 2021. It would come out 2 years after that, okay? This was the original plan. And then like COVID happened and everything that delayed it, but still, that was the original plan. Indiana Jones, a year after that. Elder Scrolls Online expansion, okay. Oblivion Remaster was supposed to come out in 22. We had other stuff. Fallout 3 Remaster coming out in 2024. Fiscal year 2024. And Elder Scrolls 6 was supposed to launch the same year. It seems like all of this has totally blown up. So Elder Scrolls 6 is now looking like it's a further like 5 years, 4, 5, 6 years delayed past the original intended target, which is insane. The Fallout 3 Remaster probably also delayed a further like realistically 3 years, maybe. It seems like everything's been massively delayed. So if it is the case that it's been delayed for updating the engine to like Creation Engine 3, that could be part of it. If there's something they want to do where they just need the Creation Engine 3 and that's what's taken so long, maybe that's what it is. But I also realistically, I mean, I think that it's quite likely that they're using Virtuos to help them with the remaster, remake, whatever, like they did with Oblivion. So they're just gonna have that other team work on it, put an Unreal Engine Code of Paint on it, and call it a day. Like I think that's more likely, because I just don't think there's that many people at Bethesda that can work on these things realistically. I mean, allegedly they're like all hands on deck trying to pump out Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think there's that many people left over to work on a remake or a remaster, you know? So especially if you're porting it into their new engine, and the benefit of the new engine is allegedly that they're getting rid of load screens or at least fixing a lot of them. That probably means a lot more work and heavy lifting than just a small team of 15 people could do, you know? I don't think that works. I don't think that works. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but you never know. You never know. Oh, look at this. Oh, before we do the next one, before we look at the interview, breaking news, sort of. So Joe Ziegler, the director for Marathon, he is saying this. Hey, everyone, I've got a bit of an announcement to make. Today, Friday, 7/17, will be my last day at Bungie, and I'll be passing the torch of game director to a very capable and amazing hands of Del Chaffee, maybe the third. Chaffee? I'm not sure. Who will guide the game forward alongside creative director Julian Nardin. Both of them have been operating in a strong leadership capacity for the team and are ready to guide Marathon into the next chapter and even better, brighter future. I'm proud of them, and I'm excited to see them helm the future of this crazy little world we created together. As for me, I'll be heading to something new somewhere else, and we'll update you on where and what soon. I just want to say a deep, heartfelt thank you to all those supporting me and Marathon in our windy mission to bring a dark and terrifying space survival frontier to your screen. The mission will continue in new and surprising ways, so stay tuned for what this team has in store for you. It's been a pleasure seeing all the stories you've created. It's all the clever ways you found ways to murder robots and one another. Hopefully, as I move on to new things, you'll join me for those adventures as well. Much love to the Marathon community and to all my friends and colleagues at Bungie. May we cross paths again. Keep it weird. Keep it real. Fascinating. He's leaving, folks. Now, if you don't know, Joe Ziegler, I met him. Really chill guy. I honestly feel quite bad for him, but he was brought in to direct Marathon after they went through a period of like pretty disastrous leadership and redesigns and reworkings for years. He was brought in because he previously was game director on Valorant. And so he came in to basically try to just get Marathon across the finish line. Unfortunately, like within a year or two of him coming on board, they had redesigned most of the game frantically. And they also had the whole art theft scandal, which happened literally before he even was hired. So the art scandal happens. It happened before he was there, but he becomes like, he has to sit on camera and take questions about it. It's like really unfortunate. But he worked his butt off and they did ship a game. My brother loves it. It seems like it's probably not met their expectations in terms of overall performance. I think it's fair to say, but you know, what are you going to do? I think it was a project that was inevitably like, it was always going to kind of end this way. I think people were interested, willing to give it a shot. It's just as a game, it's not the kind of game that can generate 100,000 concurrent players for months on end. It's just not that kind of game. I've said this about these types of niche, like extraction shooters for years, and yet companies still double down and spend hundreds of millions of dollars on them. It's just, it was never going to work that way. But it highlights a problem that a lot of these companies need to understand and appreciate, which is just simply that you have a game like Marathon. Marathon is a solid game. It really is. The problem is it is a niche game. It is a game with a niche appeal, but it was made with a mass market budget from a mass market studio with like 800 employees at the time. And that doesn't work. That math doesn't work. You can't have a team like Bungie working on something that's going to appeal to a little sliver of players. They have to work on something that's going to appeal to a bucket of players, a massive number of players. And that's just how it has to be. In the same way, like you can't have Epic pivot away from Fortnite towards a really niche puzzle game. Like that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to have them work on something that's going to pay the bills for everybody. But for some reason, Herman and Jim Ryan thought that Marathon would blow up into Fortnite 2. And I just don't understand it. It never made sense to me. Never ever, but there you go. So Joe is leaving. He's headed out onto other things. Realistically, he probably got recruited to go work on another game at another studio. There's a lot of publishers that would kill to have him working for him. Even though Marathon has not been the smash hit that I think they were hoping it would be, it still certainly is impressive that they shipped anything. If I'm being real, it was in reportedly pretty rough shape when he was brought on. They brought him on because they're like, this is not working out. It was apparently originally just Tarkov, but with robots. And it like was not particularly fun. Nobody really enjoyed it. Even the devs didn't want to play it. Like it was rough. It was rough. But we'll wish him the best of luck wherever he's going. We'll see. Ronan just shared this with me. That's about right. That's about right. Dude, I've seen some people trying to reframe this. They're like, see, so Todd does still have control. It's like, what part of this makes you think any of this is what Todd's happy about? Like, I don't think any of this is the way they wanted this to go. Like, I don't think any of this is the way they wanted it to go. But you know what? Let's see. Let's give him a shot. Let's give him a shot. Okay. So, I was gonna try to catch up on a couple super chats, right? I was gonna try to do that. I'm so bad at this. Architect, thank you for the sub, by the way. Parker, thank you for the sub. Again, Architect, thank you for the very generous 10 gifted. That's crazy generous. Lavris, thank you for the sub. Codlac TV, thank you for that. Basically, the press release was just, we're doing nothing still. Kinda, but people are acting like the world's ending or like totally shaken up. I think it's more that there's just clear confirmation of the remasters. That's more what people are super thrilled about. I think that's a lot of it. Jzil, thank you for that. The Rock for Kratos, please no. Please, I can't handle The Rock in another role, please. Let's see. Lazy Pasta, thank you for the 5. Luke, what engine do you think Obsidian-led Fallout project will be on? Same broken Fallout 4.1. I think realistically, they probably are going to try to do it in an Unreal Engine just because that's what Obsidian has used for years. But if this is more of a long-term, you're going to be working on Fallout for the next 20 years, they might force them to use the Creation Engine. I don't know. If they are, they probably don't have access to Creation Engine 3 because that's being built for Elder Scrolls 6. So they'd be using the same tools they used for Starfield, which could be fine. I don't know. But then like Obsidian has to train all of their staff to use that. Whereas if they started right now, they could work in Unreal Engine right now. So I'd personally expect Unreal Engine, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went Creation Engine just to unify it. Because if they go Unreal Engine, it's quite likely that we will end up with the Obsidian game that looks and runs way better than the eventual Bethesda one, which would be really funny. Really funny. James, thank you for that one. Todd Howard, Fleetwood Mac, ASMR. If you know, you know. I don't, unfortunately. Matthew, thank you for that. Check Chris Burnstead with long beard for Kratos. I will Google that. Oh, I could see that. Yeah, this is that, he's that Canadian bodybuilder. He did a bunch of, he won a bunch of Mr. Olympias. Yeah, he could do it, but I don't know what shape he's in because he's retired now, isn't he? I think he's retired. But maybe he could jump in there. Walt, the great thing for that super chat. Obi Femi would in WWE would be great. Bro's a tank. Oba. That's it. Not Obi. Oba. Oh, dude, yeah, he's gigantic. He could be good. They could call him up. We'll see what they do. Spitfire Spud, thank you for the 2. I think Dominic Purcell is a fine choice. Let me Google that one too, real quick. Yeah, you grow out the beard. I could see that. Australian actor. Yeah. Oh, I recognize this guy. I don't know, looking at recent pictures, he's not anywhere near as buff as he once was. I'm not sure if he could jump into Kratos. You never know. Jason Statham for Kratos. I'm sure he would love that payday. The Bad Dads, thank you for that 5. Never forget they showed us Skyrim Grandma in Elder Scrolls 6 7 years ago. Yeah, they scanned her in to put her in the game. Red Fajita, thank you for 37 months. We got discless gaming consoles before we got Fallout 5, literally. And probably before you get Elder Scrolls 6, probably too. Shafay, thank you for the 5. I didn't care if I didn't care if you'd used to be God's gift game to game dev. He's not now. He needs to be out. Oh, Todd. I mean, at some point, the thing is, even though we are dissatisfied with recent releases from him, he still is making commercially successful products, which is all they really care about. You know, that's all they really care about. Let's see, Triple H is the perfect Kratos. I think he could, but I don't think he's in shape anymore, which would be the tricky thing. Multi-good kid, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you. I agree with you. Nothing killed my hype for Obsidian Project more than having Bethesda involved with it. Yeah. To be fair, they were involved with New Vegas as well, and that basically worked out. So it's not impossible, but yeah, it's going to be the big question. How that goes, I don't know. You know, they're going to assign Emil to be in charge of the story. See how that goes. let's see. Okay, I read that one. Toenail, think of the 5. 2 kids, 2 cats, 2 dogs to look after. No wonder you spend so much time in the basement. Literally, dude. Yeah, for real life. For real life, tell you what. No, they're all great. It's wonderful. How about no with the 10? Thank you. Do you think they haven't said what engine Obsidian's Fallout is on because they know everyone hates the Creation Engine? Or is it something like the Oblivion remaster because they want the Creation Engine money? I think they honestly don't know yet. I think they are probably actively talking about that. Because right now, Obsidian's like, we can do Creation Engine, but we have to learn it. Like, we have not used it. It's just like if you came to me like, hey, Luke, can you make a video real quick on the Todd Howard interview? But you have to use Final Cut Pro. Like, yeah, I can. I got to learn Final Cut, so I might be slower while I figure it out. But I can figure it out. Just give me time. But if I worked with Premiere Pro, I could knock it out really quick. You know, I'm good to go right now if I use Premiere Pro. But if I use that, it's gonna take me a little longer. I think that's basically what's happening now. Is they're like, we can use Creation Engine, but it's gonna just take a little while. You know, it's gonna take a minute. And then RPG Veteran, thank you for that 10. So when are we fixing Fallout 4 on PC and Oblivion Remastered? I guess that never happens. Really excited but skeptical about Fallout Remasters. Remastered mean nothing, or means loading screens like Oblivion Remaster. Well, and Oblivion has the same problems with, like, the longer you play it, the worse performance gets. They never fixed those problems. Like, even Digital Foundry was like, I don't know what their problem is, but they never fixed the problems. It's like crazy. Crazy. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, I'm also not like jumping up and down with it personally. Okay, I read those two. Thank you guys again for the 20s. Those are super generous. Okay, we're caught up. Now we can talk about the interview. Ready? We'll do it live. F it. We'll do it live. Breaking news. So, ladies and gents, it seems like Asha with Todd is really telling him what he needs to do. He's really telling him. Let me find this. Hold on. Audition script leak. Yes. Here it is. Okay. New intro because the last one sucked. All right, everybody, to understand this next this next chapter of our Fallout Bethesda story, I think we need to rewind the clocks back to the balmy year of 2013. I almost said December of 2013. An article was posted December 11th, 2013. Jason Schreier, working at Kotaku, back when Kotaku did reporting that made sense. He posted an article describing how he had come into possession of an audition script. Okay, an audition script. As you can see, although some of the details I've seen may have been written simply for the casting call, and any of the dialogue could be changed by the time of the next Fallout is actually released, they're interesting to read though. Here's what could be the game's intro, for example. Quote, War never changes. It's the classic introduction used at the beginning of Fallouts 1, 2, and 3. That speech is typically narrated by actor Ron Perlman, although this page seems to suggest the player character will read the monologue this time around. Other documents describe a mission set in the Institute, Fallout's post-war or post-apocalyptic version of MIT, and references to other Fallout locations that have been mentioned but never shown in games, like the Commonwealth, which comprises what's left of Massachusetts. One character in the document, who again may not show up in the actual game, is named Preston Garvey. One script describes a mission in which Garvey sends you to salvage a fusion core from a museum in the Commonwealth. They also describe other things, like other characters in Fallout's Wasteland, like radio DJ named Travis Miles, engineer named Sturgis, who is described as a cross between Buddy Holly and Vin Diesel. Casting calls for both male and female versions of the player character. Note that the player character begins the game in a cryogenic sleep chamber. Oh, so he put all this stuff out. Okay, put all this stuff out, and it ended up being a real document, okay? This was an actual leaked casting call document that they used to cast for the main characters of Fallout 4. Jason Schreier got this, put the report out, and was subsequently blacklisted by Bethesda forever. Okay. They were quite upset. Todd was big mad, and he banned Jason from any sort of stuff that had anything to do with them, blacklisted him, refused to do interviews, refused to give any outlets he worked with any sort of nugget of a report or anything. Really, really, really pissed about it, okay? That held true for years and years and years. However, it seems today that has changed. As part of Asha's initiative to put out more information about Bethesda and what they're working on, it seems she has told Todd to grow up and to get over it. And she has sent him out to do interviews, specifically with Windows Central, and then also with Jason Schreier. And as you can see in the thumbnail of his video, whoops, blacklist, oh my God, blacklist lifted. I interviewed Todd Howard for the first time in 15 years. Now, I've not seen this. I don't know what they discuss. If anything, it might just be a total, waste of time, but I kind of want to see it. And then we can take a look at also the Windows Central interview as well, because as you can see in this, they talked to him a little bit about his overall expectations for what they're doing. Bethesda said this making investments to bring its core teams closer together with a view of building titles faster, providing them support for longer, for decades to come, kind of laying the foundation for what they plan to do through the 2030s effectively. Nothing outlined here is particularly surprising. Like everything that was outlined in this post from Bethesda is just, we're doubling down on Creations. We're doubling down on the live service stuff. Starfield's getting more content. Fallout is being worked on. You'll see it eventually. Like none of this is particularly surprising. Full confirmation of Fallout 3 and New Vegas remakes, or they didn't say remakes, they said remasters in their post. So they specifically described Fallout, remasters. They didn't say remakes. This is in the official Bethesda post, is remaster. So none of this is really surprising. And if anything, it's kind of frustrating that they are doubling down on a lot of this. But let's hear what Todd had to say in the interview with Jason. Okay, let's see.
Hello, One Take Schreier here. Yesterday, I got an unusual call, a call that I did not expect from the people at Xbox and Bethesda. They said, hey, would you like to speak with Todd Howard? And I said, of course I would like.
Nah. Can you imagine? I'm busy.
To speak with Todd Howard. Todd Howard, if you're not familiar, is the longtime director at Bethesda Game Studios. He directed Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim, all of those Elder Scrolls, most recent Elder Scrolls games. He directed all of the most recent Fallout games, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. And he is someone who also directed Starfield. He is someone who I've had a lot of respect for, who I've gotten a chance to talk to in the past 15 years ago, but haven't talked to on the record since then. I've seen him at events and we've
on the record. No, at like events, you might say hi or, a handshake, but professionally, they've not done anything. Louder, please. I can, give me a second.
Kind of chatted casually, but haven't had any proper interviews since then. And there's a pretty wild reason behind that and some interesting backstory. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But first, I want to actually get to the news that they are announcing today and some of the stuff that he told me in this interview. And then later on, I'll explain why it's been 15 years since I've talked to him and how that actually changed. So what's the news? Well, last week, Xbox and their new CEO, Asha Sharma, announced the big changes that they are making to the Xbox organization. They announced a whole lot of layoffs, 3,200 job cuts, 1,600 last week, another 1,600 to come. And as I explored in my previous video, it's actually a lot more than that because of vendors and co-dev studios and all the other kind of ripple effects of that. They also said that they were going to double down on some of their biggest franchises, including Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, which, like, again, can we just appreciate how insane it is to be like, we are choosing to double down on our biggest stuff that makes us the most money, which implies they hadn't done that yet before. Like, it's crazy. It's outrageous. Like, that you have some of the biggest IP in the industry and you're just not going to double down. Like, it really goes to show you, I think Phil was asleep at the wheel for the last handful of years. Like, it just absolutely mind-boggling. You have a cash cow, and like, literally, they have a goose in the backyard that lays golden eggs. Just back there, chilling.
And then they're sitting in the living room. How are we going to make ends meet this month? How are we going to pay the bills? I don't know. I guess I could go down to the street corner and do like a little dance or something, see what happens. If only we had a way to make some money quickly. If only we had something valuable, you know, squawk, plop, like that. It's ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous that they had this cash cow all this time and didn't push Todd to like shove out a New Vegas remaster, remake or something. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Are the two studios at Bethesda Game Studios and Todd Howard are
$5 is $5.
the two franchises that Bethesda Game
I know my
Studios and
worth.
Todd Howard are responsible for. And so this morning, July 17th, they made some announcements to kind of reflect that plan. They laid out a roadmap in a way that I thought was really interesting. So here's the top line. Big news is they're officially
I think he said top line, but it sounded like Todd line, which I like more.
way that I thought was really interesting. So here's the top line. Big news
Top line.
is they're officially announcing Fallout 5. I don't think they've said anything. I think they've said they're going to work on a new Fallout game like after Elder Scrolls 6, which is their next game, but they haven't officially called it Fallout 5 as far as
Well, what Todd said in his interview with Greg Miller was that he didn't want to say that was next. He said it comes after Elder Scrolls 6. That's what he said. I made a video on this describing how Todd seemed to be walking back his comments about Fallout 5. And it could be that he was just like trying to be playful or wordy or whatever. Todd walked back Fallout 5. Something like this. Yeah, this, okay? There was one moment in this interview. Is this it?
That could change based on the interest from the show.
I'm going to avoid putting dates on anything. I've learned that the hard way. So obviously, you know, our focus.
She's not even asking about dates. She's asking about timeline, like order of things. She's like, is it next? And he will refuse to say it's next. Once more, he says, I don't want to put dates on things. I don't want to put dates on things. She didn't ask you to put dates on it, Todd. You slippery little fella. You know what you're doing. He didn't want to put dates on it. She didn't ask about dates. She asked, is it coming next? And he's like, I don't want to put dates on it.
We are going to do that in Fallout 5. But I think the intent of when you see that, it's how we approached it. I think it's one of the things unique about this sort of, we'll call it, genre translation of something, whether it's a game or a comic or some other book, is that it wasn't a translation of an existing story. It was, what would the next thing be? It just happens to be a TV show. And that.
Yeah, it sure do. It sure do-be do. I mean, he says we are doing that with Fallout 5. So he says he has ideas, things they might have wanted to do in the show. He specifically said, don't do that. We want to do that. So again, kind of reinforces the idea that BGS, Todd, his team, they want to do it. They don't want to hand it off to some totally separate developer. Yeah, imagine if they had to do that. That'd be terrible. That'd be the worst. That would just tragic if they had to do that. To be clear, like there's one snippet from, I thought it was a Greg Miller interview. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just like crashing out over it. Because in this video, it's like 40 minutes long. I go through a lot of these. Oh, is this it? Hold on. I think this is it. I think I found it.
I want to do that. That'll be next.
That was more of like a general, it will clearly be after Elder Scrolls 6 at some point.
Okay,
let me clarify that.
So just to be clear, Todd in this clip refuses to say Fallout 5 is after Elder Scrolls 6.
You said it's in pre-production. And then last year when we talked, you said, yep, Fallout 5, I want to do that. That'll be next.
That was more of like a general, it will clearly be after Elder Scrolls 6 at some point.
Okay,
let me clarify that.
Why would he feel the need to walk that back? Like if Fallout 5 is next after the Elder Scrolls, why would he feel the need to walk it back and go, when I said that, I just meant it's coming after the Elder Scrolls. Okay, that's what I was saying. I mean, again, like I feel like this isn't even that controversial of a thing. Just take it in again, okay? Sorry, my face just floating.
Committed to
like
Elder
it's
Scrolls
weird.
6 is the next thing. You said it's in pre-production.
Yeah.
And then last year when we talked, you said, yep, Fallout 5, I want to do that. That'll be next.
That was more of like a general, it will clearly be after Elder Scrolls 6 at some point.
I don't know how else to interpret that than he does not want to say Fallout 5 is immediately after Elder Scrolls 6. It's why I've theorized that the plan prior to all of this was other stuff sprinkled in between, whether that be like Starfield 76 or whatever else. That it's always seemed to me like there was something else he wanted to put between Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. I think that probably is no longer the case. I think Asha's probably stepping in and being like, no, we're not doing that. But to be clear, Todd has talked openly about Fallout 5. I don't know if you want to say that it's been like a formal announcement or not, but they have talked about it. They've acknowledged it. They just haven't put out a trailer or something. So this news today, like, I guess technically it's a formal acknowledgement of the projects, but all of this stuff was known previously. Like, there's no breaking news in any of these statements.
I can tell. This is their kind of first time mentioning that. They say in their blog post that Fallout 5 is their kind of long range destination. They also announced remasters for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, which have been heavily rumored in the past. I think everybody knew that they were coming, but had not been confirmed until now. No news on release dates for those two. And
like more leaked, I guess, because the documents from the FTC hearings were real documents leaked confirming Fallout 3 remake was happening. The Fallout New Vegas remaster was rumored by like one or two people for a while, but it seems to be very early. It seems like that was greenlit late last year. So very, very early. Like New Vegas remaster, I don't think is coming out until probably realistically like 2029 or 2030. Like I think it's a long ways off, but Fallout 3 was originally supposed to launch in like 2024. So we'll see.
This is the most interesting. They confirmed my report from last week that they will be collaborating with Obsidian on a Fallout project. Not saying anything about it, just saying, hey, we're confirming that we're working with Obsidian on a new Fallout game. We'll share more down the road in the future.
This is also interesting that after that happened, Bethesda was willing to call up Jason and ask him if he wanted to do an interview, because Jason spoiled the surprise again. Okay. Like, to be clear, Jason reported on the Obsidian thing before anybody else. They just confirmed it. They wanted that news to break with this post, I'm sure. I'm sure this is the post where they wanted it to go viral because, oh my God, they're doing an Obsidian Fallout game. Oh my God, so exciting. But he spoiled the surprise. And they still wanted to talk to him, which is kind of crazy.
A couple more news nuggets from today's announcement. More Fallout Shelter stuff coming. They're doing a new Fallout 76 expansion that is a prequel story to Fallout 3 called Raven Rock that's coming out next year. Seems pretty clear that the Fallout 3 remaster is going to come next year at some point. I think that's safe to say. They talk about how they're currently making Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 on Creation Engine 3, which is their proprietary technology. Fallout 5 is in pre-production, they're saying. I think they want to hint that maybe Fallout 5 is in kind of simultaneous development to Elder Scrolls 6, so you won't be waiting until 2040 to play Fallout 5.
Yeah, that's also, I think, very much an Asha thing. Like, you better not take till 2035 to get this out. Like, you got to get it out fast.
They talk about how ZeniMax...
I did speed it up a little, I'm sorry.
Online Studios, which is the studio behind the Elder Scrolls Online, which laid off a lot of staff last week as part of the massive reorganization that Xbox did. They talk about how they are going to, in addition to supporting Elder Scrolls Online, they are going to partner with Bethesda Game Studios on the Elder Scrolls franchise. In other words, they're going to support the main studio, BGS. They're going to be a support studio for Elder Scrolls stuff. Talk about Season 3 of Fallout being on the way. Talk a little bit about Starfield updates coming. That's kind of the main news. And so I asked Todd Howard. I got a chance to sit down with Todd Howard for about 20 minutes to talk about some of this stuff. He didn't get super specific on a lot. He dodged some questions, not going to lie. But actually, it was really interesting because he's a fascinating...
Todd dodged questions? What? Todd. He's a pro. He's a pro. I get it. Okay. He's been media trained. Joseph Fares, the guy from Hazelight, the F the Oscars guy. Todd is the opposite of that. Like, Todd will not say something in an interview he didn't mean to say. It's why I feel okay with taking interview snippets and being like, why did he say it that way? Because you better believe he's staring in the mirror. I just want to be clear. I said Fallout 5 will come at some point after Elder Scrolls 6. Will come after Elder Scrolls 6. Will come after Elder Scrolls. Like, he's rehearsing. He knows what he's doing. Okay, he is media trained through and through. He will dodge, dip, duck, dive, dodge. Like, he will do it however he needs to do it. It's very hard to get him to answer a difficult question. And he's not going to be that candid with you if he doesn't want to. And I get the feeling I would love to know Jason's thoughts. Maybe he'll get to it. I get the feeling like this was not Todd's idea to talk to Jason. Okay.
Guy, and I always enjoy talking to him. So I asked him, I got a little, the stuff he dodged specifically is about the Obsidian project. He didn't really want to get into how that came about. Like why now, why it just happened. Like, I think there's maybe a story to be told there another time, but Howard didn't want to get into it. He told me that, I'm going to read a little bit from the transcript that I have here.
Yeah. Cause I think, call it intuition. I think that Asha stepped in and was like, we're doing this. Suck it up. Suck it up. I know you don't want to give the keys to the kingdom to Obsidian to let them work on stuff. That's what we're doing. I think it's like none of this is stuff Todd's particularly thrilled about. Even talking to Jason, I think he's smile, nod. I don't think he's thrilled about any of it.
He told me that he is good friends with Obsidian, talks to Fergus Urquhart, their CEO, all the time. When I asked him, I said, hey, like, have they gone to you in the past to pitch Fallout games? And he said, well, we all talk, and hey, this would make sense when the timing is right. And so I said, well, what made the timing right now? And he said, quote, that would be spoiler-ish, which I thought was pretty funny. He talked a little bit about, I asked him, like, hey.
That would be spoiler-ish. That's what made the timing right. That seems to suggest that it's going to tie into the show. But if it was going to tie into the show, why wasn't it greenlit a year ago or 2 years ago when the show first popped off? Like, I don't know what that means. Okay.
Is like Obsidian going to be the lead on this, kind of like they were with Fallout New Vegas, with like support and supervision from Bethesda Game Studios, or is it going to be more of like a collaborative thing? What is that going to look like? He said, quote, it's going to be a collaboration and we're starting that now. And then he said, I would say the Fallout franchise, all up is managed out of here, and our staff and our franchise team. So essentially Fallout is still going to be managed at BGS. It's still going to be supervised by BGS.
ML will certainly help with the story. This is, again, I understand why they want to keep control of the franchise stuff. It makes sense to have the franchise controlled in one central place. I get that. But I've just been so burned. And I mean, maybe to be fair, the last look at Fallout we really truly got was Fallout 4. I don't really count Fallout 76 for anything really canon or narrative. Maybe I should, but I've not been that impressed with their ability to manage the IP for a while. So I think hopefully they can understand why I kind of roll my eyes when I hear that they are in charge of the franchise. It's like, why, you know, why you? Anyway,
TBD how much of kind of the creative vision will be executed by, will be laid out by BGS versus Obsidian. I asked him about the engine, which I know a lot of people have been wondering if this new Obsidian Fallout game is going to be on the Bethesda proprietary creation engine toolset, or if it's going to be the Unreal engine, which Obsidian is more accustomed to. An engine, in case you're not familiar, a lot of times people use this kind of video game lingo, assuming that people know what they're talking about, and a lot of times people have no idea what an engine means, but they talk about it anyway. Essentially, an engine is kind of the framework of technology and tools that you use to create a game. It's very important on if you're actually working with the game and the technology and the tools. I think from a consumer perspective, a little bit less important than maybe people out there like to make it seem. Enthusiastic.
Yeah, I think for the average consumer, like going into Walmart buying a game, they see Unreal Engine and they expect like pretty graphics. Probably like maybe there's some expectations in terms of the types of games that tend to be made with it, but I think pretty graphics is the thing that's commonly associated with Unreal, and then maybe lesser performance and like stuttering. Those are kind of like the most recognizable features or things tied to Unreal Engine. Whereas Creation Engine, I think people would more closely associate that, of course, with Bethesda games, but also with bugs and then load screens after Starfield. So, you know, they have their strengths and their weaknesses at the same time.
Gamers and YouTubers and the like, but still there are aspects of an engine that are visible to the customer, and when something is on the Creation Engine, I think there are indications of that in the way that the certain aspects of the technology work. But anyway,
when you load in, 10 times in a minute, yeah, for sure. Sorry, Spartan Toast, thank you for the sub.
Anyway, he wouldn't answer that. He said
also 8-bit Robotnik, thank you also for that.
Indications of that in the way that the certain aspects of the technology work. But anyway, he wouldn't answer that. He said, we'll talk about that when we talk about the game.
Answer. Little dodge. I'm expecting it's because they don't even know yet. I'm sure they're having those conversations right now. I'm sure BGS wants it in the Creation Engine because then they can tie in creations, and I'm sure a lot of that money gets funneled back to BGS. But then I think for Obsidian, they're looking at it, they're like, hey, we don't use Creation Engine, we use Unreal. We can build it way faster and more efficiently in Unreal. Let us do that. And so, and also bear in mind, Obsidian has developed a lot of like questing and NPC systems and like RPG systems, all sorts of stuff for Outer Worlds and Avowed. So a lot of those things they built there, they can just bring over to a Fallout game, and they don't have to like start from scratch is all I'm saying. Whereas they would basically be starting from scratch, learning the tool set from the beginning if they moved over to Creation. So who knows? We'll see.
I mean, when I asked him about like how this all came together, if Obsidian had pitched games in the Fallout franchise before, and if BGS had said no to that, and no real answer. He said, we when I talked to Fergus and other people, what we would make when having those conversations, now is the right time. I asked him.
Now's the right time because Asha yelled at me and said I have to. Just so much of this. I think when you're looking at the possible explanations, like what is more likely, that Todd had a change of heart, was like, you know what? It is time that we give fans what they've been asking for 15 years. It is time that we give the keys to the kingdom to other people to help us make these games, that I let go a little bit so that they can help us elevate the experiences for the fandom. Yes, now is the time. Or that the new CEO who has come in and started micromanaging some of their biggest IP and is like done with the way things used to be done with Phil Spencer, that she came in and said, get over yourself, you're doing it this way. I think it's more likely that Asha came in and just said, this is what's happening.
A little bit about why it's been so long since we've gotten a new Fallout game, especially with this hit show. A lot of people have been wondering, why was there new Fallout? No new Fallout game to coincide with the release of the Amazon show. He talked a little bit about Fallout 76 being enormous and putting a lot of resources into that. And he talked about, he said, I look at it from what does the franchise look like to the audience? I view TV as one chapter, and I view when is a franchise really, really healthy, and when can we execute whatever we're doing, whether it's a mobile game or a TV show or remasters, making sure that we execute those at the highest level. He said,
what about those satisfies your core audience, Todd Drew? Like, he's describing the show,
whatever we're doing, whether it's a mobile game or a TV show or remaster.
A mobile game or a TV show or remasters. None of those are new, like, narrative, like, single player games. It's, yeah, we have those remasters, and Fallout 76 is what he mentioned first. It's like he's allergic to talking about the thing that the gamers actually want, which is a new mainline narrative Fallout game. It's ridiculous. It's insane. Mobile games. You all have phones, don't you? We all know the Obsidian Fallout will be a mobile card game. Oh my God, please no. If that's what they are doing, can you imagine? Can you imagine the meltdown if they reveal the Obsidian game and it's a mobile game? Dude, that would be delicious. Todd's like, well, we just thought this was the best fit for them. We did a PowerPoint showing them what we wanted from them, and we thought this was more their speed. Can you imagine?
Making sure that we execute those at the highest level. He said our focus was 76 and the remasters and Fallout 5, and it's not that we wouldn't want it, it's finding the right pocket timing and everything that goes along with that. A couple other tidbits from our interview. I asked him a little bit about the layoffs because BGS actually laid off a few dozen people last week, including some long-timers, some people who had been with the studio for a very long time.
Yeah, one of their artists who had been there, I think, 27 years was laid off, which is crazy.
He said it's difficult for him, difficult for people who work together. He talked about how it's Bethesda's 40th anniversary and how there have been periods where we've gone through changes. He talks about how like in back in the 90s, the company almost went out of business, and then it became kind of ZeniMax 2.0, and now we're going through a change so that we focus best on the franchises and what we need to do to deliver for everybody. I talked to him a little bit about what it's been like managing a studio that has expanded from less than 100 people on Skyrim to now hundreds of people across multiple locations, offices all around North America for Starfield and now future games. It was interesting hearing his perspective on that. He talked a little bit about how like everybody has their own opinion on like what the right team size is, and how when he started at Bethesda back in the day, there was a team of maybe 10 people on a Terminator game, and then when that team doubles, going from 10 to 20, that's like holy crap, like we just went from 10 to 20, that's unbelievable. And then it goes to 40, 60, 80, 100, and he talks about how, quote, there's always a period where everyone has their own opinion. That was the right one. He talks about the progression, and he talks about how like when they did expand from just having that Rockville, Maryland studio to 4 different studios at Bethesda, we went through a lot of growing pains. I won't sugarcoat it. It was tricky. We made a lot of mistakes, and he talked about how like they have a lot of learning to do, a lot of kind of now they're working with a lot of co-development partners, and still much learning to do. I personally find that to be a very interesting conversation, the topic of team sizes, and that's something I'll definitely address further down the road in future videos and reporting. I've written some stuff about that as well. And
I would love to have just it's my frustration with so much of the Todd stuff is that I feel like you can never be just like, you never get a candid direct interview. Like because I think it would be fascinating to hear the behind the scenes of how they went from Skyrim to eventually like Starfield. because the team was so huge by that point. When you factor in the development partners and stuff, the slide I've often showed you guys is from that Will Shen presentation that he did. Will Shen GDC. Yes. This. Oh no, not that. This. Where I showed you guys these slides where they show how many people worked on it. Like this is Moby Games credits. So this is kind of like the IMDb of video games. So you can actually see what devs worked on what and track them. But you can see on Skyrim, they have like 120 people, all BGS. That's where they all are. Like there's nobody spilling out from anywhere else, right? And then Fallout 4, they get some help from Cinemax Online, or not Cinemax Online, from someone. They get some help there. Fallout 76, they get some more help, some supporting teams elsewhere. And then it starts expanding with Fallout 76. Even more people are working on it. But I would argue, as the teams have grown in size, the output has dropped and the quality's dropped. Like pretty clearly, there's a growing pain here. Whereas they've skyrocketed in terms of the number of heads working on projects, I don't think the quality has skyrocketed at the same time, I would argue. And so it makes you wonder, like, what is that process and how do you fix that? How do you make it so these people are actually operating on the same level as everybody else, same efficiencies? And it actually reminds me of this. I found this clip and I thought it did a good job of just describing how this stuff works. These are a lot of common business sayings that describe accurately some of the problems I think that a lot of these companies have experienced. This is a rapid fire of some of these laws of the business universe, okay? Take these in.
Work expands to fill Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time you give it. Shrink the deadline, shrink the task. Hofstadter's
In other words, if you give a team 20 years to make a Fallout game, they will take 20 years to make the Fallout game because the work will expand to fill the time.
law. Everything takes longer than you expect, even when you account for Hofstadter's law. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what is adequately explained by carelessness or stupidity. The Pareto principle, or 80-20. Roughly 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. The Peter principle. People get promoted until they reach a job they're bad at, and then stay there.
I like that one. Kind of explains, like, you know, the CEOs that end up getting promoted all the way up and then they just stay there forever.
Hicks' law. More options means slower decisions. Cut the menu, decide faster.
Yeah, tight scope in the context of video games, tight scope, you can be more efficient.
Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know, the more you overestimate how much you know. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. Chesterton's fence. Don't tear something down until you understand why it was built in the first place. Brooks's law. If you add more people to a project that's already late, it's going to be even more late because we underestimate coordination costs.
Which is true. Magically adding devs does not magically fix the game or make it come out faster or whatever. It doesn't make the game better just because you increase the budget. This is one of those things, like all of these studios that have gotten $200 to $300 million budgets, that's usually reflected in bigger team sizes, right? That does not correlate to higher quality, to bigger games, to anything, because a lot of the time those other laws that we described start eating away at it. There's coordination costs. There's costs for having too many options, for having enough time to experiment, do wacky stuff. You end up wasting a lot of time and resources on things that never end up in the game. You know, so it just starts to get to the point where you're burning money that you didn't need to burn. Like, I really think that a lot of these games that have $200 million budgets, $200 million budgets could end up being just as good with $100 million budgets and just little pieces of the scope dialed back. Like, I think the best example of tight scope delivering a solid game in recent memory was Mafia: The Old Country. Tighter scope, much tighter budget, much smaller team, but the game was baller, dude. It did exactly what it wanted to do. It's telling a story. It has a world for you to explore. They set the story within the map, but they're not trying to make it freaking GTA 6. They understand that it's not going to be like a full-blown open world game with dynamic encounters and all this. It's not that kind of game. And it worked great because they limited the choices that could be made. They kept the scope in line, and then they put a pretty strict deadline and budget on it. They needed to figure it out.
I asked him a little bit about the state of Elder Scrolls 6. He didn't want to talk about the timing. He talked about how, like, as most people know, Todd Howard prefers to wait to talk about these games until as close to release as possible. But he said, like, they felt like this was a good time to just kind of like lay out this roadmap. And finally, I asked him about retirement, and he told me, well, the truth is there was a period of time a while back where I pondered, what does it look like? Not is it imminent, but what does it look like? And I no longer do. I see the work we're doing. I just love it. I love working with these people. It's really not something I think about. And he says, some folks in our industry that are a little older than me, they're just making great stuff too. So it's not something I've been thinking about. So yeah, interesting conversation there.
Not interested in retiring, which is good. I mean, honestly, if I was in his shoes and I was getting to make video games and make millions of dollars while doing it, I wouldn't want to retire. You know, why would you? Why would you? You're living your dream. You are in charge of a massive company.
At shotgun
Why would you?
Zealot donated $19.99
Thank you.
through Super Chat. Sawyer spoke positively about Bethesda's engine in the past. Said it was easy to work with, interview or one of his YouTube videos. Don't recall how long ago that was.
Oh, it cut off. Don't recall how long ago that was, and Studio/Engine changed significantly since then. Thank you for the 20, super generous. I'll have to dig it up. I do think, like, we meme a lot on the Creation Engine. They make it easy. We meme a lot on it, but there are strengths to it and benefits to using it. Pretty much everybody that has modded with it or been a developer on it says it is fairly easy to use. It's easy to do a lot pretty quickly. It has its own drawbacks and weaknesses, of course, whether that be prone to it being prone to bugs or the load screen issues or, limitations on overall fidelity, stuff like that. There are limitations and weaknesses, but it does have strengths. It's important to remember it has strengths. It's not like it's all bad. It has strengths. And even like ease of modding is another key feature. You wouldn't get things like Fallout London, for example, if that game were made in Unreal Engine. I just don't think you would. So there are strengths for sure, but there's also weaknesses. And it's just a matter of kind of gauging those and balancing those two things at the same time and figuring out what makes sense. That's what's tricky, is figuring out how to do that. Because there is no perfect solution. You go Unreal Engine for the Obsidian Fallout game. That has benefits, like graphically it'll be pretty. It'll probably be more modern in terms of overall presentation, in terms of seamless exploration around the maps and stuff. But it'll have the downside of probably not supporting mods, for example, at launch. It probably will not be as easy for the team to work quickly with. There might be downsides to it. So nothing's perfect, but it's just a matter of figuring out what makes sense for that team specifically.
Make sure to check out my story at Bloomberg this morning if you want to see the written version of that interview and this big news. So here's a little backstory on why this is such a strange thing that happened. In 2013, I did a series of stories about Bethesda, including a story about the turbulent development of what at the time was called Doom 4, a story about Arcane, the developer within Bethesda, the studio, being kind of forced to work on a game that would later be called Prey, but at the time was being called Prey 2. A lot of weird backstory there I won't get into, but basically I did a story about this, and some people came out and denied it, and then I published some emails showing that that their denial was a lie. And then finally, at the end of the year, I published a story about Fallout 4. And the context there is that there was this kind of like fake ARG that someone put up called The Survivor or something, $22.99 or something like that. And a lot of people fell for it. A lot of people thought it was a real ARG for Fallout. And so my story...
Yeah, to be clear, if you don't know, ARGs are augmented reality games. There was this guy, I don't think we ever found out who it was, but somebody made like a really compelling game with like puzzles and timing stuff, tying into bits of lore and then hidden messages and codes everywhere. People thought circa 2013 that it was Bethesda teasing Fallout 4, that it was them setting up the reveal, and people got really excited. Turns out it was just a hoax. It was a fan just doing something wacky and stupid. We've done segments where we looked back at it and it was legitimately pretty cool, but it was totally fake. It was totally fake.
I debunked that, but at the same time I said, well, look, despite this, Fallout 4 is real, it's set in Boston, and here's a little bit of evidence for that. Now, despite what you might have seen on the internet, because there's kind of a misconception about this, I did not post, and I was at Kotaku at the time, we did not post anything about the story of the game, and we did not post any spoilers of the story of the game, we did not leak the script, we did not do anything other than just kind of share a few a few details of script pages that were unrelated to story, and that were just kind of like, here is evidence that this game is real, it's set in Boston, that's all we're going to share. And what actually happened was I was sent some script pages from the script of the game, including the beginning of the game, where you find out, spoiler spoilers for the first 30 minutes of Fallout, but essentially you are put in this cryogenic freezing chamber. You are jumped forward in time, and your son is kidnapped and your spouse is killed. And that was all on the script pages that I got in 2013. I deliberately chose not to share those in the Kotaku article because I didn't want to spoil the story for people. So it's kind of ironic and annoying that there's somehow this, I've seen on Reddit all the time, people saying, Jason Schreier spoiled the story for Fallout 4, when that actually is not what happened.
I mean, we pulled up the original article here, and the article said, did I close it? Where is it? Here. We pulled up the original article from December of 2013, and he does say and outline some things that would end up being true of the story. Like there being the Institute, Preston Garvey being inside there. You do a quest salvaging a fusion core from the museum. Some of these things, the player begins the game in a cryogenic sleep chamber. Could be just invented for this. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, he didn't spoil the story or any sort of specific plot lines, but it does have, tidbits and plot points that do end up being accurate and being true. So yeah, he didn't share like the full thing, but, I could see how some people would see that and be like, well, it effectively spoiled that reveal,
Anyway, so between the Fallout story, the Doom story, and the Arcane story, some people at Bethesda, including their PR boss at the time, made the decision to blacklist me and blacklist Kotaku. And that was 2013. We tried for a very long time to talk to them, to have conversations with them off the record, to try to clear the air, to try to explain why we do what we do, talk through reporting and why it's important to us, yada, yada, yada. Not so much because of like review copies. I didn't really care about that. Maybe other people did. I cared more about getting a chance to talk to people like Todd Howard, which I'd gotten to do when Skyrim came out in 2011, and it was really cool. I found him fascinating. I think he's a really interesting designer. I know he enjoyed talking to me, et cetera, et cetera. So that just kind of lasted for a very long time. When I came to Bloomberg in 2020, the blacklist continued. Some of my colleagues here had some conversations with, as Xbox took over Bethesda, which was at the end of 2020 into 2021, some of my colleagues here were kind enough to have conversations with them, trying to get them to ease off. It was kind of like a very long work in progress about like trying to figure out what that might look like. And then a few years later, the person who actually made the call to blacklist me left. But still, it was a little while before any of that could be solved. And then yesterday, talking to Todd,
I think who was in charge? I don't think it was Pete Hines, was it? Circa 2013? Maybe it was Pete Hines. If you don't remember Pete Hines, he was like the big man in charge of all of this, of all the marketing stuff at Bethesda for a long time. Let's see. Yes, here. So you can see like he went and head of publishing, global marketing, yes, senior vice president of global marketing and communications from October 1999 through November of 2022. So he was the guy. And then he retired in November of 2023. He was the guy. So I think absolutely that's the one that made the call. Pete, I think Pete blacklisted him. I think Pete's the guy. That's fascinating. Peter blacklisting people? This is a little inside baseball, okay? Right after all of the reports of like Xbox layoffs, of some people, basically a lot of stuff was happening in the last handful of weeks at Xbox, where it seems like a lot of managers and supervisors were reshuffled, rearranged, fired, got it. Like things moved around a lot, especially within marketing, within some of those teams. Right when that happened, me and my team were reached out to by like 3 or 4 separate people who previously pretended like yours truly did not exist, which is interesting. It makes me think that, similar to Jason, it just takes one person high up in the chain of command that says this person is not to be spoken with. And then that person's gone, and all of a sudden everybody else is like, oh, finally, okay, anyway, and they're back to business. So I wonder if it's a similar thing where like Pete leaves, the gate opens up, and then like Asha is also taking a perspective of like, we're not doing things that way anymore. We're not going to like blacklist people because they say things that upset us. Okay. we need to grow up, basically. So I wonder if that's a similar thing here where they're just like, Todd, you talk to Jason. We're not blacklisting anymore. Jason's perspective also, it's interesting because there's also been reporting and leaks and rumors for a long time, for years, that Todd specifically, I don't blame him, hates leaks. Like, he hates when anything related to their games leak. There were leaks for Starfield back in I think it was 2019 or something. Very, very early little snippets of what would end up being Starfield. I mean, it was confirmed. Early Starfield leaks. Yeah, these really early screenshots. I remember when these came out and people were like, no way, is this real? And it ended up being real. I mean, now we know that this is what the game would end up being. When was this from? Let's see. This is April 22. So this was even earlier than that. I thought, but apparently not. It says 2022, but I think the build, if I recall correctly, I think the build was, yeah, it's from a 2018 build. That's why I'm thinking of it. Okay. I'm tracking. Yeah, as you can see here, 5 new leaked pictures from the 2018 build of Starfield. So this is from 2018. They had this in the game. This is like the most recognizable one. But these leaks happened, and apparently Todd was like livid, like pacing in the studio, like actually really, really, really mad. And I don't blame him. Like, you work on something for years and then it leaks like this, that sucks. But I've always suspected that Todd was more complicit in the the blacklisting of Jason than maybe would be let on publicly. I don't think he was like, oh no, come on. I don't think he was ever that upset about it.
That was actually the first time that I have talked to anyone at Bethesda in an official on-the-record capacity since before 2013. And so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that the people at Bethesda and Xbox and Todd Howard, of course, I really appreciate that they were willing to do that and willing to start the process of just kind of getting past that blacklist and moving on, because I don't really think blacklists are good for anybody. And no. I very much stand by all of that reporting that I did. I don't have any regrets about that. I do have some regrets about stories I've done at Kotaku and stories I've done over the years, just because I think anyone who's been doing this for long enough has some regrets about things they've published or would have done things a little bit differently. But in this case, I have absolutely no regrets because, as I mentioned, we were very careful about that Fallout stuff, very deliberate to not post spoilers, and just I do not think that it was something that we should have been blacklisted over by any means.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Blacklisting in the industry also doesn't tend to help anything. Like, consumers are smart, dude. Like, when you guys notice that X person is only ever doing interviews with people that blow smoke up their butt, you start to notice it, you know? Like, you start to notice it. It's like, hey, why does nobody ever question this guy? Why does nobody ever ask a hard question or a follow-up? Like, he just said something that's clearly BS, and we're just smiling and nodding. Like, what is happening? Why is there no follow-up? You can tell, and it stinks, man. It stinks when you start to like sense that there's no like accountability in that way. And to be clear, like, I think there's a place for sort of maybe fluff piece interviews is the technical term. I'm not sure. But like, you go on Jimmy Fallon, you're not going to be asked hard-hitting questions about anything. That's the point. You're going there to promote something. It's light, feel good. That makes sense. I'm fine with Jimmy Fallon interviews. That's fine. My problem is when journalists do puff pieces, and when somebody's claiming to be like, oh yeah, I do reporting on the games industry, but then the moment somebody comes in that they're a fan of, they're just like, tell me, I love this game. Some people didn't love the game as much as I did, but I loved the game, Todd. What do you say to people that didn't like it as much as I did? Because I loved it, to be clear. I love your work. But what would you say to people who are crazy and didn't like it as much as I did? Well, I would say that those people like it less than you did. Ah, brilliant, Todd. Brilliant. Like, you know, you got to have some pushback. And it doesn't actually help, I think, the promotion of your game, because people smell it and it stinks, you know? And to their credit, this always kind of blows people's minds. But the number one example of a company that does not blacklist like this, that may surprise you, and I'm telling you after doing this for years, the number one company that handles this the best way I've ever seen is Ubisoft. I don't know why, but I have made videos. I called Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is their most like successful Assassin's Creed game ever. I called it a travesty of open world design. Thought it was dreadful. dreadful. Many things I would do differently, I'll just say. Called it a travesty. And like a week or two later, they're like, yeah, well, we'll get you next time. Yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah, well, dude, that's such a great moment. Like, you can tear them apart. I've openly called for like the CEO to be fired. I said his son was the Jaden Smith of gaming. I've not been gentle, I would say, but they still will interact and talk and be very, very open about everything. Because they're like, you know what? When you speak positively about something we've done, it'll mean that much more. Because people will be like, oh, the guy that called the new head of Assassin's Creed the Jaden Smith of gaming, he really liked Black Flag Resynced. Oh. Well, that actually means a lot more to me than like another random TikToker. Did you know that this Assassin's Creed game is the best Assassin's Creed game ever made? Like, that doesn't mean much to you because it's just more, you know? But when you go and you talk to somebody that maybe is telling you, the audience stuff that is harder to listen to, when they come out and speak positively about you, it means a lot more. That's why I've never understood the approach of some of these companies to like blacklist, or if you are like seen as too critical of their stuff, that they'll just shun you, you know? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, you know? Jaden Smith of gaming. Well, I mean, it's just, he went from like a crypto scam company to alleged scam company to being in charge of Vantage Studios. And it's like, are you really telling me you were the best equipped for that? Are you really going to say that? But okay. So anyway, I agree that blacklisting doesn't get anything done. It doesn't help the studios either, or the companies either. It doesn't fix anything. Okay. Being clear and transparent goes a lot farther. And you know, when you have somebody that historically has been really hard on BGS, or really hard on Ubisoft, or really hard on Rockstar, or really hard on EA or whatever, and then they come out and they're like, yeah, actually this game is really good. That's going to mean a lot more to the audience and to the consumer you're trying to buy your game. That's going to mean a lot more to them than if just another guy that's toxically positive all the time ends up being really positive about another thing again, you know?
So yeah, I really appreciate.
Help me understand.
The people at Bethesda, the people at Xbox, and Todd. I appreciate that they were willing to do this, and I told Todd, and hopefully he agreed, that I would love to sit down with him for a way more in-depth conversation rather than just about the news of the day, about game development, and about maybe when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, maybe we can get in depth on that, because I find that stuff really fascinating, and I think he's a really interesting and smart dude. I'm sure many of you have seen him talk over the years. He's always fascinating to hear talk about game design and game development. So yeah, that's the story. It's a wild one, and yeah, I mean, if you see people out there on Reddit being like, yeah, Jason and Kotaku deserve to be blacklisted by Bethesda because they spoiled the story of Fallout 4, know that it is not true, and it is demonstrably not true, because you can just pull up that article. I think Kotaku has removed all the images from their articles because our parent company in recent years was a bit of a disaster, and Jim Spanfeller and crew for some reason decided to pull all of the images from old articles, so you can't actually see the script pages anymore. But you can see that there's nothing in it about story spoilers. There's nothing in it that's like really spoils any part of the plot at all. We were very judicious about that, not to do that. All right, so Fallout news hit. You'll see it. Make sure you check out my story at Bloomberg, and I might actually be back later today for a second video. They call me 2 video a day Schreier.
Sorry, that was funny. So there you go. I mean, it sounds like a pretty straightforward interview, nothing too crazy. As I mentioned at the top, there's also another one that they did at Windows Central. Again, these are I think mainly just interviews meant to just reaffirm the news that was already established. Just the same bullet points as the post from Bethesda. Yeah, huge respect for Obsidian. As you can see, top of my most faithful Xbox faithful right now is Microsoft's huge cuts to gaming. I asked Todd how he and the team are doing given what's going on. Todd said, great question. I've been doing this a long time. Whenever you've worked with people for, in some cases, many decades, and they're no longer here, that's really personally difficult, and difficult for our teams. This is one thing why I think the layoffs were pretty clearly from outside of Todd's control, because they fired people he's worked with for like close to 3 decades. That one artist, she had been there 27 years. Imagine anybody you've known for 27 years. If you had the choice between firing her and firing the guy that's been there for 6 months, probably firing the guy that's been there 6 months. Like, I do not think that this was like Todd's choice or Todd's doing, you know. I really don't. Maybe it was, and he's actually just that hardcore. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised. Yeah, so this looks almost identical to the same answer that he got from Jason Schreier. We had to change who we were and how we did things then. And then when we kind of became ZeniMax and did a bunch of things, and then we had to change again in 2016, moving to different studios. How do we support these franchises? And I think we're at another change moment for us and how we support each other, what we do with these games for our fans. I mean, it sounds like he gave basically the same answers all over again that he gave Jason Schreier. So, pretty much the same exact stuff. You sort of say, is there a way or window or pocket where we could do something similar that really, really made sense? And so we're excited about the opportunity working together. It's funny, the word pocket I thought was weird when Jason described that, but that seems to be the same word used here. Remember I said that Todd is like very, very media trained? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, like look at this is what I was talking about. See, it's like the same exact phrasing.
And Fallout 5, and it's not that we wouldn't want it, it's finding the right pocket timing and everything that goes along.
It's like finding the right pocket timing. And then here, you sort of say, is there a way or window or a pocket where we could do something really, really make sense? I think Todd had all of these answers ready. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same answer, same phrasing, same word choice, everything. It's very funny. Anyway, fascinating, and I think pivotal moment, even if the news is not really news, even if it's just the same old that we've seen time and time again. It's just, I think, a signal that Asha wants them to get their act together and put deadlines and clearly say, this is what's happening. We need to get on it. And we're not wasting time with all of this anymore. We need to get it out the door and be more efficient. And it makes sense. I mean, you've got, again, a golden goose that they've been sitting on, doing nothing with for a while. And there's no reason they should be doing that. They should have had this stuff out a long time ago. And now they're finally getting around to it. So we'll see. As for any like actual actionable information in here, there's really not much. I mean, again, it's the same stuff we've seen and heard time and time again, but doubling down on creations, doubling down on Fallout, Elder Scrolls. The biggest stuff, I think, is that other teams are coming in to work on this stuff now. ESO's team at ZeniMax Online, I think, is going to be moved over and mainly turn into a support studio to finish Elder Scrolls 6 faster. And then I think Obsidian is going to become the secondary Fallout studio, kind of like you have multiple studios working on Call of Duty, and they're going to just start kind of alternating Fallout games. And I think that's what they're probably going to do. But even that is still probably 3, 4, 5 years away. Like, it's still a long ways off. So even though this is like really exciting, because it's like, finally, something's happening. It's happening probably next generation, realistically. I just think that that's probably what's happening. Phil was a mistake for Xbox. I think Phil was, for better or worse, a true fan of gaming, and that made him a very unique executive. But I think he was too nice for his own good, and I think because he was a fan, it kind of blinded him to some hard decisions that needed to be made. Even though he's a fan of Todd, he needed to tell Todd, enough is enough. This is unacceptable. Like, we need to get on it. And he should have been saying that to a lot of the studios in their portfolio that have been taking forever to do much of anything. Like, they should not have ended up in this position. And now they're going to try to address it and fix it. So we'll see. At the very least, you can see that there's a good amount of interest and excitement around this news. You can see that the post from Bethesda is at 74,000 likes, 6.8 million views. Like, there are millions of people who want the next Fallout game, who want the next Elder Scrolls. They're not that interested in ESO, or ESO would have 7 million active players, or Fallout 76 would have 7 million active players. They don't. They're waiting for the next big game from Obsidian or from BGS in these franchises, and they just got to get them out. It's crazy it took until 2026 to get them, like, the ball rolling, but here we are. We'll see. And at the very least, if the ball starts rolling, where they're going to try to open the door more for press and media to have a more open conversation and relationship with Bethesda, I think that would be a good move, because again, it doesn't actually help the studio to blacklist and lock down. I really don't think it actually makes anything better. So call me Todd. I don't know if we should do like a formal interview. I think we should play chess against each other for charity and donate it to like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children or something, like a good charity like that, we'll just play chess against each other, and then at the very end just go, who's laughing now? And then the video ends, and everyone's like, why didn't you talk about anything? Why didn't you talk about games? And we'll just not. I think that would be fun. Anyway, shout out to the chess club. Damn right. Yeah, make the BGS chess club. That would be great. Imagine I finally talked to Todd, and the whole video we don't say a word about video games. It's just a 30-minute chess game. I think that would be funny. I'm old Eric. Thank you for that 10. I'm excited to see Obsidian do another game. They're the best I've seen in making you feel unsure / queasy about what the right decision is and the repercussions. I am optimistic about it. And they seemed, I think if they were ever to put the full A team on anything, this would be it. So I'm really optimistic. I'm really optimistic. I'm hopeful. What's your elo? I typically play in the range of like 2,000. Back when I was doing like tournaments and stuff, my final tournament performance, I think, was like 2250 or something. My rating was never that high. I needed to grind it out and be much more active in the tournament scene. But I've always thought if I have like a summer where I just have nothing going on, I just need to double down. I'll study, go to a bunch of tournaments, and try to get a title. Even if I'm just playing in like USCF tournaments or something, just go for like a national master title or something. I think that'd be fun. But yeah, back in the day, I went hard. Now I'll still play like on chess.com and stuff, and I'm like floating in the like 1950 to 2050 range. It just depends, but we'll see. I don't know. Yeah. Do you think you would have an interview with Todd at any point in time? I mean, realistically, no. And I think that that's totally fine. I have a lot more fun. Like if I wanted to have a professional relationship with Todd, I wouldn't light a candle. You know, like I don't think you won't see Jason Schreier lighting a candle with Todd's face depicted on it. Because that's weird, and I acknowledge that. So this is the price we pay for our candles, okay? Or they wouldn't buy his jacket for a bit in an 8-hour video they made on a game he made. Yeah. So no, I don't have any expectations for that. Where's the cutout of Todd? He's in the closet. I've been trying to get him to come out for a while, but he just doesn't want to get out of there, you know? Didn't want to get out. Jackson says, pack it up, folks. Bethesda did not lose Fallout. Were people saying they lost Fallout? We said they lost control of Fallout. Those are different things. They didn't lose Fallout. They lost control of Fallout. It's no longer just Todd's baby. They're handing games out to other people. So, yeah. Let's see. Bethesda said most of what we shared today has been in motion for years. We just traditionally stayed quiet until things are ready to show. Pre-production is a longer road than people often realize, and there are a lot of moving parts across games, TV, and more. The newer piece is working more closely with teams like Obsidian and ZeniMax Online Studios. It's exciting to finally talk about some of what we've been building, and we really appreciate the passion and support. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, Luke's face is behind the front desk at security to call him if you see him. Literally. What is Kotaku doing now? I don't even want to click on it. This feels gross. Okay. I'm not even going to click. I don't want to even start, you know? Don't want to even start. Anyway, okay. Where did I miss one? Nerdy Giant, thank you for the 10. A game has been announced for Gamescom, and that's Tides of Annihilation. You think we get a release date for it? I think we should. Tides of Annihilation looks freaking awesome. Tides of Annihilation. Yeah, this is that game that looks like ridiculous, like just outrageous. Again, these Chinese studios, don't sleep on them, dude. They make it look so easy. Like, yeah, this one should have a release date revealed at Gamescom, I think. It's so good.
One of the White King's sorceresses. You destroyed the White Lands.
That destruction is in fact salvation.
You're insane!
You know not of what you speak. Accept your defeat.
Nabarak! She's created another folded realm. I can't reach her.
It is Jennifer English. Yeah, that is her.
We cannot cross two folded realms, but this mere sky.
I think it looks amazing. Frame rate, little choppy, but bro, this is outrageous. The multi-dimensional fight, like moving between dimensions as you go crazy, like that's pretty insane, dude. Like again, don't sleep on these Chinese developers, man. They do not mess around. They do not mess around. Oh my god. Anyway. Let's see. Did I read that one? Can Def see some positives, says Brendan Lucas with a 5. Can Def see some positives for a new Fallout on Unreal, but I'm a Bethesda verified creator and that means less money for me. So I disagree with it going to Unreal. I mean, there you go. That's the problem. That's why, honestly, I just do not see, as they double down on creations, I do not think that they would pivot to Unreal. I just don't see it. The whole premise is like recurrent revenue with people buying paid mods. And even though they announced, okay, honest question. Is the 10 million number, does that not seem like lower than you would have expected? It feels lower than I would have expected. But am I just crazy? Like they revealed this very proudly. We're very proud to announce creators have already earned more than $10 million in royalties. This is in creations with its expansion to Fallout 4 joining Skyrim and Starfield. So they have paid mods in Fallout 4, Skyrim, and Starfield. And they've passed the $10 million mark. And I think creations first were announced in 2018 as Creation Club. So if you're telling me that in that time they've only paid out 10 million? What? Yeah, that's their cut. Well, that would mean that gross, it's maybe like $40-50 million in revenue. It sounds like way lower than I would have expected for 8 years of paid mods. Like way lower than I would have expected. You know, what's the split? The rumored split. Nothing's been confirmed, but the rumored split has been for a long time among people that have dared to try and leak info, is that it's of the 100 or of the dollar that comes in, 30% goes to the platform. 40% goes to, whoops, I forgot a 0. 40% goes to BGS. And then 30% goes to the modder. So that's what's been rumored for a long time, but we don't know for sure. It's also possible that some people have a worse split than this, that some modders maybe only get 10%. I saw one leaked agreement that somebody put out. It was the only one I ever saw like it, so I personally don't think it's real, but one that I saw was at 10%. For the modder, and then like Bethesda took like 60. I don't know if I believe that personally. Like I said, it was one. Most of the things I've seen float in this range of like about 30% to the modder. So we'll see. 1.25 million a year could pay a salary for 25 people over 8 years. Yeah, and probably have like more stuff than this, honestly. But I mean, again, it's just, I'm surprised because I would have thought that this $10 million would be a lot higher. Maybe this just means they mean $10 million in royalties from the creations expansion to Fallout 4. So Fallout 4 creations have made 10 million. That could make sense. That would make sense if that was, they brought that over to Fallout 4, because the full context is this year marked another major milestone for creations with expansion to Fallout 4 joining Skyrim and Starfield. We're proud to say creators have already earned more than 10 million in royalties from their work. So already might mean that they're referring just to Fallout 4. That would make more sense. Like if they've brought in $40 million gross revenue from paid mods in Fallout 4 since adding that in-game shop. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but that would be more in line with what I would expect, you know? So that'd be more likely. Yeah, it's just Fallout 4. I think that makes more sense, because I would be stunned if they've only made like 40 million across everything. You know, that would be ridiculous, but I don't think that's what that is. I think it's probably just Fallout 4. But anyway. Okay. I don't know why the Switch 2 is trending. I was hoping it was like an announcement of a price cut or something, but that's not. It's just nothing. Okay. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm there. Okay, I'm good. The Homo Dwarf, thank you for being here. Thank you for the sub over there on Twitch, my friend. Thank you. And then Usarich, Ursushirich, maybe. Thank you for the sub over on Twitch as well. Thank you. Beast of Reincarnation, I'm excited for. Yeah, I'm optimistic to it too. Yeah, me too. Okay. Well, let's see. I think we're good there. Okay. Let's see. Skyrim Anniversary was containing a lot of Creation Club fan mods. Yeah, where they like bundled them together. I do remember that. Yeah. I mean, Nexus mods supply people with free mods. You're only picking up console by mod. Yeah, I mean, that's if you are like an actual modder, if you want to like actually do crazy mods, like the Starfield Star Wars mod, which is legitimately pretty cool. That one, you have to use Nexus for. Like the Creation Club doesn't support it. So there are like, you reach a point where if you're really into modding, you're going to use Nexus if you're on PC. So the Creation Club is mainly for like console modding. Which is still cool, but anyway. Okay. What the hell is this? What? Stardew Valley is coming to Magic the Gathering later this month with 3 limited secret lair drops. Tap an untapped creature you control, create a food token, choose the target permanently you control. Permanent you control, draw a card, then another player choice game. Crop rotation, that. Huh. Okay. I don't know what I think about that. I love Magic. I don't know what I think about all these crossovers. That's weird. That's weird. Anyway. Okay. Fam. Let me see. Let me make sure we are good. Okay. I must depart for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I had some more stuff I wanted to get through, but we kind of ran out of time because we got so busy talking about Todd. Classic Todd. But it's okay. We will be back early next week with more stuff. It's going to be great. Rip to my member chat. Oh no, did you? Hold on, Sneaky Pickle. Hold on. Your pickle was too sneaky. Thank you for 9 months. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah, there it is. Do you think Asha called Todd a good boy when he agreed? I mean, there's the leaked photo of when Todd found out he had to do these interviews. Ronan shared the picture with us. It leaked. Good boy. Just pat the head. No, he's been bad. Oh my god. Okay. Much love, guys. Yes, if you have a membership or a sub, join our Discord. You have to connect your account so that it automatically invites you. But join us over there. We have a new members only video and sub only video up there for you guys to check out. Much love. I will see you guys on Monday, rocking and rolling, or in the next main channel video, whichever goes up first. Either way, I will see you soon. Much love. Hugs and kisses. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Mwah! That one's for free.